fan as
Okay,
much
so
as much as
okay,
an
so
atheist can be a fan.
okay, well, I'll tell you what. Where would you like to start?
Well, I would like to start with that. It's very interesting to see someone who's very smart that is a theist because it's such a hard concept to believe that when you start with origins, that something so complex as a god would be the beginning. I understand the position that they say God always existed, but for something so complex to either always exist or come into existence before simple life forms just seems like the most obscure type situation. It seems like simple life would start first and work your way up to
Well,
complexity.
God is
Why
not
would what?
complex. God is
Okay,
simple.
why would God need to be complex?
Well, it seems like the definitions that I generally hear of God are like the most complex being possible, like something that even anything that thinks, anything that has a brain would be more complex than a one cell creature like an amoeba.
Okay, well, first of all, in biblical theology, um, we don't hold to the complexity of God. We hold to the simplicity of God, and that human descriptions of God cannot be exhaustive, but it may be multifaceted. Okay,
Okay.
just like like a diamond can be multifaceted, but
Okay.
it's not really complex. These are just different aspects from our point of view of the simplicity of God, right?
Well, if you would
So
compare it to an amoeba, certainly God would be more complex than the most
okay,
simple life forms.
so all right, so just so we're on the same page, when we use the word God definitionally in this conversation, we're going to be talking about that which is ultimate and fundamental and the source of all possibility and impossibility and is a mind. Okay. Now, whether God has further or extended attributes, we can discuss later.
But
Okay.
even God as a mind, though, even God as a mind is much more complex than a simple life form like an amoeba or a one cell creature.
No, what not? Why would it be? Why would? Well, first of all, do you mean uh, complex conceptually, or do you mean concretely?
I
Yeah,
mean,
because
like based on
God's
the origin, like
Complexity usually refers to the working parts of something.
yeah, you talking about God's thoughts, which may be complex,
Yeah.
or his basic makeup.
I
God,
think.
God, God could have a complex of thoughts where He holds it in one giant thought, and it may be complex from our point of view, but it could be entirely simple from God's point of view. There are certain there are
Okay.
certain there are certain things that baffle children that don't baffle adults, and we think that it's not that complex. Okay, so I think you're conflating physical complexity with conceptual complexity.
I'm thinking of complexity all the way around. It's like the most complex being
Okay.
compared to the most simple being.
Well, I don't agree with the well, I
Well,
don't
who
agree with the
cares if God's
definition.
complex or not?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
because
I
I
What's
don't
the
think that
problem with that?
the problem is when you're starting out in the beginning, it's simplicity. Like I don't know if you're believers of the Big Bang or anything like that and evolution,
no
but everything
no.
seems to be starting simple and working their way to complexity. And it doesn't start at maximum complexity and then
You're
start over
presupposing
at
evolution,
simplicity.
though.
No dogpiling, please. Okay. So let's just stick with the discussion of God. If you want to change later on a discussion about evolution or cosmology or cosmogony, that's fine. But let's just stick right now with the central issue: God or not God. Okay. So
I think Darth has. I think you, Darth, have lined it out correctly. God is not a physical being; He's a spirit, and as such, He is not constituted by physical parts. And as such, He is a simple entity. A mind is a simple, but God can have complex thoughts.
yeah. So in atheism, then what you will believe is fundamental is not a mind. In theism or God belief, and by the way, I'm sure you're aware that I only defend Christian theism. In Christian theism, God is that which is fundamental and is a mind. Okay, and that's the difference between our two positions. Right. So
Absolutely.
why? Okay, so why are you an atheist?
I'm an atheist for let's see, a long time, 44 years, 43 years. Started in
Wait a minute.
science class. I was told no matter what you were taught at home, this is what's really true. And they told me about evolution and the Big Bang, and
Biography.
I was
All
13
right,
years
please, please,
old.
please. I don't want multiple people jumping in on this, okay? Because this is his first time.
All right,
I
I'll
was
shut up.
Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
apologies.
No, it's okay. It's just that this is his first time, and I don't want this guy to feel like he's being attacked from different sides.
It
Okay.
doesn't bother me.
Okay.
The piranhas are hungry, Darth.
The piranhas.
I've been an
Okay.
atheist since I was 13 years old, and
Okay. Good. Okay.
ever
So
since
how
this,
did you determine that what is fundamental is not a mind? How did you determine that what is fundamental is impersonal?
well, again, it's going to be based on simplicity versus complexity. Why would something so complex exist and then start over with simplicity?
Having an unanswered questions does not necessitate the conclusion.
Okay, well, I believe that any consciousness would come much, much later than non-consciousness.
Okay, so it doesn't matter to me what you imagine. What I want to know is how did you determine that what is fundamental in existence, the source of all possibility, is impersonal? Do you know what is fundamental?
I believe I have an idea of my opinions, at least I could share with you.
No, I'm not asking you to guess. I said, do you know what is fundamental and is the source of all possibility? Do you
Okay,
know what that?
I'll
Do you
tell
know
you
what?
what I'll tell you. I believe that it has to do with the necessity for opposites. There's an actual physical necessity for opposites to exist. So everything is
Shut
You're
the
based.
not.
fuck up.
You're not addressing. Hold on a second.
Oh.
Okay.
So everything is based on opposites, and the universe and beyond is actually a binary system, just like in a
Well,
computer.
stop.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. You're moving too fast. Okay. Are you saying that which is fundamental is enveloped or encompassed by some one or more parameters?
Two that make one. Everything and nothing.
Okay. Listen.
Combinations of
Listen.
everything
Listen.
and nothing.
Listen carefully to the question. I'm asking you, what is it that is fundamental to everything? Okay. Do you know specifically what that is?
So it would be physics and science.
Okay. So science is a term of human apprehension of how things work. Okay. So
Okay.
human apprehension, it would not be what is fundamental. Okay. Now, if you say physics is fundamental, all right, now we're getting somewhere. So you believe that the laws of nature are what is fundamental and the source of all possibility?
Yes.
Okay. Are these plurality of laws? Is there anything that concretely unifies them, or are they independent of each other?
Well, physics would unify it. Physics
No, that would
itself.
no. You're not understanding. That would be a human abstraction. Okay, there's right. That's why I said concretely. Okay, when you talk about physics, the term physics is a human abstraction about certain concrete relationships.
However,
Okay.
physics existed before humans.
Okay.
Just didn't have a name.
Okay. Well, listen carefully. Now, I want to know. Okay, what it is that's fundamental. Telling me laws of nature doesn't tell me anything. Is it energy? Is it matter? Physics is just simply a description of how matter and energy interact and behave. That doesn't tell
Okay.
me what's fundamental.
What I believe is fundamental are varying amounts and quantities of everything and nothing. It's a binary system
It's quantities of what?
of everything and nothing. Amounts and variations of everything and nothing. It's
Okay.
just like a binary
What is
system.
what is everything?
Everything started with the Big Bang. It was actually
Okay. All
one
right,
particular.
dude. Listen
Yeah.
to me. You are failing miserably here. Okay.
Oh, I feel successful.
Can I step in?
No.
Damn it.
What you're not understanding is either there's something that is singularly that's fundamental, or you believe that there is a plurality of things that are fundamental? Is it your position that there is a plurality of independent, non-unified particulars?
Okay, I believe everything and nothing were separate, and then they combined.
Okay, that's gobbledygook, what you're saying right there. Okay, listen
Okay.
carefully. Do you believe that there is there's either one thing is fundamental, that is the source of all possibility and impossibility, or you believe that there is a plurality of particulars? Okay,
Two
that
things:
dictate.
everything and nothing.
I think he's.
Two
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Listen,
Everything
this is about the
well,
fourth or fifth time you repeated that. Did
well,
you
'cause
not
that's
hear
the
me?
answer.
Did you not hear me reject that as gobbledygook?
Darth, may I?
Well, my opinion, it's not gobbledygook. I
Okay,
think it's real.
okay. What is it that is fundamental when you talk about everything? What is fundamental?
Okay, so originally everything was one substance. It was so compressed, but
What
then
is
it
it?
expanded
Okay,
into
so
nothing.
all right. You're talking about the cosmological concept of the singularity.
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you know that that's true?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Well, they figured out the Big Bang by when they
No, they
seen that the
haven't. They haven't
universe.
figured. Listen to me carefully. You are speaking, and I'm not trying to insult you. You are
Okay.
speaking out of complete ignorance. Okay, I can play for
It's
you. I can play for you right now a recording from Leonard Susskind, a world-renowned physicist, where he will talk about the standard model of cosmology. It's simply a paradigm. Do you understand that?
well,
It's
Edwin
they,
Hubble figured out the universe is
no,
expanding, and they
okay.
rewinded
Okay.
backwards.
Stop right there. The fact that we make observations of the redshift, okay, of the cosmic background radiation, it is not logically necessitated that everything was at one single point. It's not logically necessitated.
So you don't believe
Okay?
in the Big Bang?
No, I do not.
And you, how old
Yeah.
do you think? How old do you think? How
Okay.
old do you
We
think the
can get
world
to
is?
that. We can get to that momentarily. The point is simply this: what you are appealing to as a fact of the origin is just simply a current prevailing cosmological model. Did you know that before Edwin Hubble observed the redshift of the cosmic background radiation,
Mm-hmm.
that the prevailing model among cosmologists was the steady state theory? Once that old guard died out, a new guard came in with a new model. And I'm sure you're aware of, in the history of science, it is littered with the corpses of previous paradigms and uh, explanations. Okay. So the fact that this is why it's called the standard model doesn't mean it's a fact. It simply is the most popular explanation of the origin of the cosmos. It doesn't mean that it's true. Is truth determined by how many people believe something?
No,
Good.
but
So then all you're simply doing then is you are appealing to the ubiquitous nature of the standard model. The fact that this is the prevailing paradigm in cosmology doesn't make it true.
same thing with religion. Just because you're
We're
appealing to
not
the good,
discussing that right now. We're not discussing that right now. Okay.
but it works
What
both
we're
ways.
discussing
Okay.
is you're telling me that what is fundamental was the singularity. And I say, do you know that? And you say, yeah, it was proved. No, it hasn't been proven. All it is the Big Bang cosmology. Okay, hold on. The Big Bang cosmology is simply a materialistic retrodiction in order to explain our past. And by the way, the reason why Big Bang cosmology has been adopted is because of the abandonment of the idea of God as creator. When did that happen? That happened into the mid to the late 19th century when Darwin came along with his theory of evolution, and the theory of evolution removed God from the sphere of rational discussion of origin stories. Once God was removed from the sphere of rational discussion as what is fundamental, then all they're going to consider is what is called methodological naturalism. Do you know what methodological naturalism is?
Nature by method, I would guess.
No, it means that the only explanations that we will accept for any phenomenon, either in the present or in the past, is simply materialistic or mechanistic. Okay?
Well, because
Now,
no supernatural thing has ever been proven.
okay. No supernatural thing has ever been proven. And how do
Never.
you know that? How do you know that?
What has ever been proven that's
Okay,
supernatural?
have you ever are you omniscient?
What is that?
Means do you know everything?
Of course not.
Okay. Were you standing there on the third day after Jesus' crucifixion? Did you know that his body was stolen by his disciples? Do you know that it was stolen by the Romans? Do you know that?
I know that's the story. I don't hold much by the
Okay,
story.
all right, but you said that supernatural events have never been experienced. When you say proven, you're just saying is that you don't accept it. Now we're getting off on a tangent here, right? Now,
I wanted to actually ask, because the original question was, how is it that God doesn't exist? And you said
yeah,
that you know what's not God and what is ultimate. And maybe you didn't understand, but what ultimate means is that it doesn't begin to exist. It's eternal. So are
right.
you saying
Thank
this
you.
singularity, this
Yes.
singular point
Okay,
that has
and
all
how do you
matter in
know?
it, that's
Well,
is that eternal?
how do you know that the singularity is eternal?
It's a simple thing, so it'll be much more likely to be eternal
Okay, stop right there.
than a
So now you're
complex
making
thing.
an appeal to probability, which you've now cut your throat philosophically. So it's not necessarily true.
It's so unlikely for a God to exist
No,
that it can be.
you're not. Oh, okay, all right.
Can I
Listen. You
finish
got to
one
slow
sentence
down.
though?
You
I
got
just
to
want to
slow
finish
down.
this one
Listen.
sentence though. I just
Wow,
want to
dude,
finish the
you
sentence,
got to
please.
focus.
Let me finish the
You
sentence.
got to. No, I'm not going to let you finish because you cut me
Oh,
off.
I
Right?
thought I
Now
was
listen
speaking, but
carefully.
okay.
Listen. When you make an appeal to probabilities, then the conclusion is not logically necessitated. Do you understand that?
It gets to a point though where it gets to be so unlikely it can be ruled out.
Okay, good. Then do you believe in evolution?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't?
Okay, good. Okay, now,
Do you
do you
not
know what the
believe in
okay,
evolution?
listen, are we going to have an adult conversation?
Oh, I thought we were.
No, you're beginning to act like a petulant 15-year-old,
I disagree, but
right?
go ahead.
We're not okay, of course you do because you're very accustomed to your demeanor,
Okay.
right? Now, Now, are you consistent in using probabilistic as a heuristic device that you reason everything by probability? Are you consistent or arbitrary in probabilistic reasoning?
I try to be consistent.
Okay, so you believe in evolution, all right? So do you believe
Yeah,
that beneficial mutations accumulated and accrued in a linear molecular fashion to build all of the complex coding sequences within DNA?
absolutely.
Okay. Now, what is the mathematical probability that one molecular unit of information will align in a linear fashion to reflect a long string of functional information? Do you have any idea what the probability of it is down at the molecular unit of information?
I wouldn't give it a number, but I'd say that since we're here, that pretty much proves that it
Okay,
happens.
well, I'm going to explain to you what the figure is. Okay. Now, down at the DNA level, there are four nucleotides. They are molecular structures that, when they're arranged in different sequences, they code for either proteins or they code for regulatory functions that the cellular structures execute. Okay, those molecular coding sequences that code for proteins are called codons, right? And it takes three of these nucleotides to code for one codon. A codon codes for an amino acid. When you have a long chain of amino acids, that's what we call a protein, right?
Okay.
Now, it can also be referred to structurally as a polymer. It is a long chain, right? So,
Okay.
when mutations occur, they generally occur individually. Sometimes they can happen in groups, but they're individual. They're usually what we would call what's the word? I'm tired. I'm looking for it. They're usually called spot mutations. That's not the correct term. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Anyway,
Point mutations.
Point mutations. Thank you. It's because I'm tired, right? So we have point mutations. So we have nucleotide. Now, a least complex protein has greater than 100 amino acids, but I'll pick the number 100 so we can hang our hat on it, right? And I'm just going to tell you this, not to disprove evolution, but to show you that you are absolutely flip-flopping on your rule of probability, okay? Now, in beneficial mutations generally are considered point mutations, but they can also happen in sets and groups, things like that. So you have beneficial mutation followed by beneficial mutation followed by beneficial mutations until it reaches a point of critical mass where it has it produces a functionality and an increase of fitness. And that increase of fitness will then provide for reproducibility and survivability. So each codon at a molecular level is a 1 in 20 chance. And the reason why is because there's only 20 amino acids that proteins are constructed from. So we have all different arrangements of amino acids in chains or polymers to make very complex proteins, right? So that's only part of the equation of biological life. But we'll just stick with that for now because it can get too complicated. So when you believe in evolution, you have to believe that these point mutations happen incrementally, one by one by one by one by one by one by one, right? In order to produce the functional coding sequences that will yield an increase of fitness. Now, each codon for a protein is a 1 in 20 chance. A second codon that would mutate would be followed by another 1 in 20 chance. So any two codons that would code for 2 amino acids in the chain of a protein is going to be 1 in 400. So any one is 1 in 20. Two of them in a linear path will be 1 in 400. Okay? 3 of them will be 1 in 8,000. So when we add an additional coding sequence that we need to complete the chain, the improbability grows exponentially, not arithmetically. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Okay. Do you accept that?
Okay, that's fine. The only thing is that I would like to
Do you accept that each additional coding sequence? Now, if we have a string of 100 amino acids, most proteins have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of amino acids in their polymer. But we're going to take a 100 amino acid chain for simplicity. So if we were to have each of the coding sequences would be 1 in 20 times 1 in 20 times 1 in 20 times 1 in 20. So if you had 100 of them, it would roughly be 1 in 10 followed by 100 zeros. Okay? That's the probability. That would be the probability. You have one chance in 10 followed by 100 zeros.
Okay. Does that include, though, natural selection?
Okay. It's not relevant to the discussion.
I think it is because that's what influences these changes.
You're not under. Okay, you're not.
Let me answer to that. Darth, let me answer to that. Your problem, strong atheist, is that you have to also explain the origin of life and the minimal
Stop. We're not doing that. Okay, I'm not trying to disprove evolution. Okay.
The fact that you're bringing up natural selection, you just don't understand evolution.
You're not
understanding how it
you have a typical you have a typical education in evolution, right? Because when you are educated in evolution, both at a primary level and a collegiate level, it's always natural selection. We're not discussing natural selection. I'm granting that to you. The probability of the point mutations to produce the linear coding sequences it doesn't matter about. I can grant you natural selection. I can say to you, yeah, natural selection is simply a step-by-step survival. Mutation, increase of fitness, okay? And then selection takes place because you have a greater survivability. You have an increase of fitness in a given environment. So everything that I'm saying is taking for granted the idea of natural selection, okay? Now, I am not arguing against the theory of evolution. I'm going to show you that you are going to completely flip-flop on an appeal to probability, that you are not consistent in reasoning probabilistically. You will appeal to probabilistic reasoning only when it suits you, when it's to your advantage. But when it's not to your advantage, you're going to abandon it. And I'm going to prove it right now, okay? So the odds of producing even a single protein are 1 in 10 followed by 100 zeros. Now, that's just one protein. Even the least complex microorganisms require an ensemble of complex proteins, numerous proteins. And that doesn't even include all the other complex sequencing within the DNA and the molecular working parts of the cellular machinery. Okay? We haven't even gotten to that. Now, we're just dealing with one protein, right? Now, you think because of your poor education in evolution, all you need, the secret sauce for evolution, is a lot of time, right? That's the secret sauce that Charles Darwin thought. Well, Charles Darwin got it all wrong because he didn't know about the complexity of DNA. If I grant to you 13.7 billion years, they don't even go by that anymore. It's less than that, okay? But let's say I grant to you 13.7 billion years. And I'm going to be really generous. I'm going to give you a trillion squared Earth-like planets. Okay? Not 2 trillion Earth-like. I'm not saying 2 trillion Earth-like planets. I'm saying a trillion squared Earth-like planets. Now, exponentially, that would be 10 followed by 24 zeros.
So
okay?
I have a couple of responses.
Now,
if you let me.
hold on a second. Hold on a second. How can you respond when I haven't even finished my point?
I'll continue.
Now, whether I'm off by a few zeros is besides the point, okay? It doesn't matter, right? What matters is I am granting you an unimaginable, inconceivable number of trials. The way that you overcome a mathematical improbability is by a lot of trials, okay? That's why some people win the lottery, because the mathematical improbability is overcome by the number of trials, meaning the number of people who buy tickets. Now, if you have a trillion squared Earth-like planets, that's 10 followed by 24 zeros, right? And suppose we factor in a 13.7 billion years, and I'm going to give you, I'll give you 16 more zeros, okay? To more than compensate for the 13.7 billion years, right? So now, okay, you have 10 to the power of 40 zeros number of trials. Do you understand?
I understand.
10 followed by 40 zeros. Is that a gargantuan amount of trials?
Absolutely.
Is it inconceivable?
No, because it happened.
No, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah,
he means you
no.
can't hold that sum in your mind.
No, you're not you're not. When I
that.
say okay, yeah, okay. So you didn't understand what I meant when I said inconceivable.
I absolutely understood. If you let me respond, I'd appreciate it.
No, you're not understanding. Let me finish. Okay, when I say inconceivable, I mean we cannot comprehend the number of zeros. That's what I meant by that. Okay. When I say inconceivable, I did not mean, well, it's ridiculous, therefore you shouldn't believe it. That's not what I meant. I meant it's a number so big that we just simply can't wrap our head around it. Okay, so you have 10 to the power of 40 zeros, the number of trials, okay, in order for mutations to produce even one protein, for one protein. Now, the odds of forming that protein, right, is 10 to the power of 100. Now, remember you were in school and you reduced fractions? If we remove the number of trials of 10 to the power of 40 from 10 to the power of 100, you still have an improbability of 1 in 10 to the power of 60 zeros.
Okay. Can I just
Now,
say a couple
so
things
do
now
you
real
now
quick?
understand? Do you understand? If I said to you right now, I'm gonna, if you give me $10, right? If you can guess a number from 1 in 10 followed by 60 zeros, I will give you $1 million. But if you
Right.
don't guess it,
Mhm.
I get to keep your $10. Is that a worthy bet for you?
If I had billions of years.
No, you're not understanding it. You just have one chance. You have
No, I have
one
billions of
guess. You're
I have
not,
billions of
dude.
years.
This is the problem. Listen, I'm gonna be very frank with you. You you have an estimation of your understanding of science and math and all this kind of stuff and metaphysics. There's a lot you don't understand. I can tell by talking with
Okay.
you.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Could I just respond a little
Now
bit,
listen to
please?
me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Now, when we remove the number of trials for mutations to produce even one protein, okay, I gave you 10 to the power of 40, right? Which you said it's an unimaginably generous number of trials. There's nobody out there that thinks that there are a trillion Earth-like planets. They may believe that there are billions of star systems, but a lot of scientists believe that the all of the conditions that are conducive to permit life are extremely rare. Okay, but
Okay.
I'm giving you 10 to the power of 40 trials. But when we reduce the fraction, you now have a chance of 1 in 10 followed by 60 zeros. Now, that is what we would call beyond an astronomical improbability. Do you understand that that's your
Okay.
position?
Absolutely. Could I just respond a little,
Now,
please?
do you still believe in evolution in spite of its beyond the astronomical improbability?
Yes.
Good, which I have now proven my case. Because now you have abandoned probabilistic reasoning because you're adopting that something could happen, okay, in spite of its unimaginable improbability. You told me earlier in the conversation that you reason probabilistically. But now when it comes to evolution, that you believe that a protein, just one protein, not a plethora of proteins, and also the other complex coding sequences of DNA that would be required for a microorganism. We're just talking about one protein. If it's one
Okay.
protein has a 1 in 10 to the 60th power, how much more all the other proteins that you would need? So you believe that evolution happened in spite of the unimaginable gargantuan improbability. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. And I'll tell you why,
Good.
if you let me.
And have you abandoned probabilistic reasoning there?
No, because we exist. And
Okay.
that therefore,
You know what? Listen. You're not very smart.
okay, could I at least
You are
respond to you?
you are not focusing.
I'm
Okay.
not saying I'm smart, but could I respond to you, please?
Is evolution, as I have detailed it, as mathematically improbable as anything we could quantify?
It's certainly more probable than, as complex as we
That
are.
we're
Okay,
not
even one
talking about
protein.
anything else right now. We're not talking
Right.
about anything else. All we're talking about is that one protein.
Okay.
Is it beyond astronomically improbable of occurring by chance?
I believe it happened.
That's
Okay.
not what I'm asking you. Okay.
It's
Again, you're not
well.
focusing. Focus
Okay.
on my question. Don't
I
answer a question that I didn't. Okay. This is not an argument at the
No,
cafeteria table
I
in eighth
understand, but I
grade.
just want to
Listen carefully.
respond to this in my own way, if you let me.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Hmm. I'm listening.
Is 1 in 10 followed by 60 zeros something that is astronomically improbable, beyond astronomically improbable?
It certainly sounds it, though. I don't know how you came up with that number.
I just went through it the last 20 minutes.
You've said it a few times, but
Okay,
the
dude,
numbers start.
listen to me. You are
Well,
ill
it doesn't
equipped to
matter.
carry on.
I'll take your word for it. It's a crazy high number. I
Okay.
believe that. But crazy.
The point is this.
Hmm.
You believe that evolution happened. Okay, that's a given.
Yes,
And you
absolutely.
believe that evolution happened in spite of its unimaginable astronomical improbability.
That's because you and I exist. Because
You're not focusing. Okay, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me, dude. Listen to me. You are a motor mouth. Listen
That's
carefully.
a non sequitur.
Your problem is this: is you're not willing to understand your own limitations. Okay, listen carefully. You are not understanding what I am trying to communicate to you. And you are changing. No, okay, overtalk me again, and I'm gonna mute you. And if you keep on doing it again, then I'll kick you. Okay, listen carefully. Whenever I try to focus on one issue, you, with your mind, you drift off because you're unfocused on some semi-related rabbit trail. Do you realize that you've been doing this the whole conversation?
No.
Okay, well, you have been doing it. And everyone in the room has been observing this. Now listen carefully, okay? Now, you believe that what is fundamental to reality is impersonal. And because you believe that, you therefore conclude personal. Okay, now, I ask you, how do you know that? All you have simply done is you have appealed to the standard model of cosmology. Okay? Now, are you aware of the fact that in science, all conclusions in science are provisional? Do you understand that?
Sure.
Now, if a conclusion is provisional, then it means that it is not necessarily true. And by a re-examination of the primary data or by future observations in the future, that provisional conclusion could be falsified. Do you accept that?
Sure.
Then that means that you are saying God does not exist by virtue of a provisional conclusion that you hold to. But that provisional conclusion is not necessarily true.
Okay.
So when you say God does not exist, you're just saying God does not exist is because you have adopted a provisional conclusion that might potentially turn out to be false tomorrow or in the future. So a provisional conclusion cannot falsify another proposition unless your interlocutor or your audience accept the provisional conclusion as true. So do you understand your fundamental mistake?
I think anyone could have these views change. Your views could change too.
Okay, you're not focusing, dude.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, I asked you a question. Is your belief that the impersonal singularity, is that a provisional conclusion, or is it absolutely truth and is unfalsifiable?
Pretty close to unfalsifiable.
No, sir. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully.
Yes.
Is it unfalsifiable?
Okay, I'll go with unfalsifiable. It's close enough.
Okay, good. Then according to many people in science, that's not science. That if a conclusion is in principle unfalsifiable, it is now removed from the realm of science.
Sounds like religion.
Okay. Do you know that? Do you know who Karl Popper was?
No.
Karl Popper was a great philosopher of science. I don't happen to agree with him on some stuff, but he nonetheless was a brilliant philosopher of science. Karl Popper came up with an idea. It's not universally accepted, but it's very popular. It's called the demarcation issue. That what we want to demarcate is between what is science and what is not science. Okay. Now, if something is not science, doesn't mean it's false. It just means it's not to be considered science. Now, you believe that the Big Bang, the singularity out of which the Big Bang derived, you believe that that's science. But within the domain of science, many scientists will tell you if it's unfalsifiable in principle, then it's not science.
Okay.
See your problem? Now, is your Big Bang cosmology a provisional conclusion? And by provisional means it's not necessarily true.
I believe it is necessarily true.
Then it's not a provisional conclusion.
Okay. That's what I believe.
Then it's not science.
Okay.
You might believe it's true.
Science.
Good. Now, what I want to know is, okay, How do you know that the Big Bang happened from a singularity? How do you know that other than appealing to the
Well,
prevailing?
he'd have
Other
to
than
tell us how the singularity is eternal. That was his claim.
yeah, yeah. So that's a good point. How did you determine that the singularity that exploded? See, even if the Big Bang cosmology is true, let's say for the sake of discussion that I grant you Big Bang cosmology, that still
Okay.
would not get you to atheism, because in order to get to atheism, you would have to show me that the singularity was itself eternal and ultimate. Can you do that?
How did you determine that nothing else instituted the singularity?
Yeah.
That it did
How
not
did you
begin?
how did you determine that the singularity is eternal and ultimate?
Okay. So I'm going by it's the most simple thing. It's an Occam's razor thing. That is the most
Okay,
simple
that's okay.
thing that could exist.
Stop right there. Stop right
And
there. Listen
and
to
we're
me carefully.
comparing it to a
Occam's
god.
razor, listen to me carefully. Occam's razor is a heuristic device in order
Okay.
to simplify learning. It is not determinative. Okay?
Okay.
Principles of Occam's razors does not make them necessarily true. So there
Fine.
do not appeal to Occam's razor.
Okay. I'm comparing the simplicity to the
You're not
complexity.
understanding. Listen to me. Listen to me carefully. How did you determine that the singularity is eternal? Because you
Something
can't
had to be.
listen.
Well, first off,
Okay,
I feel
that's fine. That's
that
fine.
every.
Listen to
Okay.
me, dude. I'm getting
Go ahead.
very frustrated with you.
Go ahead.
Okay, because
I'm
you
letting you
lack
talk so much.
focus. Yeah, you lack focus. Listen
Okay. I'm
carefully.
letting you talk.
I'm going to ask you a question, and you need to answer that question and not another
Okay.
question. How
Go
did
ahead.
you determine that the singularity is eternal?
Because everything always existed and nothing never existed.
That doesn't answer the question. That response, the fact that you believe that something is eternal is fine, but it doesn't mean that the singularity is eternal. How did you determine that the singularity itself was eternal?
And how did you determine that nothing never existed?
Yeah. Listen, what I want to know
Nothing.
from
It
you is
nothing
how, listen carefully. How did you determine that the singularity is itself eternal?
because everything always existed.
No, you're not understanding this. Do you know what the concept of the multiverse is?
Yes.
Okay, in a multiverse cosmology, they believe that there are bubble universes that come and they go. And the singularity would be the product of what we call a bubble universe. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and a multiverse cosmology is gaining popularity in certain areas in cosmology. So you see, that would mitigate against the idea that the singularity is eternal. Okay, and it would be ultimate, because then the singularity itself would be temporal and not eternal. So I want to know from you,
Okay.
how do you know that the singularity is eternal?
Okay. First rule of thermodynamics: energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Okay, all right, stop right there.
What about the second one?
You are failing on so many grounds. The first law of thermodynamics is just simply our conclusion that there is no man-made or natural way that we know of by which matter and energy can be destroyed. The first law of thermodynamics
Created or
is
destroyed.
you're not understanding, okay? The first law of thermodynamics is just simply saying that matter, we don't know that there's any way that matter and energy can be destroyed. It is not a
Right.
declaration that matter and energy never came into existence.
It's created or destroyed, not just destroyed.
You are really thick.
Wait a minute. Your position would contradict
Listen to
current.
me. Listen to me. If here's the problem, if you hold to the laws of thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics says that within a closed system, right, given
Yeah.
enough duration, that the heat death of the universe will be achieved, right? But
Yeah.
do you believe the singularity has been around forever?
Correct, although not
Good.
necessarily in this state.
Then guess what? If the singularity has been around forever, or in whatever state the singularity is, then the universe would have already reached heat death.
Okay,
Okay?
so
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Appealing to the first and second law of thermodynamics does not get you to an eternal anything. In order for you to state that something is eternal, you're going to have to be eternal yourself, or that which is eternal will have to be a personal mind that communicates to you that which is eternal. Do you understand your problem?
I understand my problem, but yours seems
No,
so much
do you
more
understand
monumental.
how are you able to determine are you able to determine that whatever you designate is eternal? How are you able to know that that itself is eternal and not something else?
It's what I believe, and it seems the
I
most
know you
logical
believe
way.
that. What is the reason? What is the rational justification that what you do believe is itself, in fact, internal and not simply the product of something else that's eternal?
It is actually part of something else that it's eternal. The thing that started the Big Bang was part of a larger
Okay, all right.
singularity.
All right. Listen, you are ill-equipped to carry on this grown-up conversation, sir.
Oh,
Are you just
you didn't
ignorantly
even let me
conjecturing?
respond.
You
I had
are
several.
listen to me. Listen to me.
I still didn't
You
get
are
to respond
so
to my stuff earlier.
you are so ill-equipped to carry on this conversation.
I feel like
And
I'm
you are
doing
in
fine, but
and
I
no,
wish
you
you to
no,
let me
you're
speak a
no,
little.
you're not. You are speaking so much
It's not
ignorance
fair
you
that I
don't
can
even
speak a
know.
little. I just
Listen
want to
to
say
me.
that as
How
complex
do
as we
you
are,
know? How do you know that which is eternal? How do you know what specifically is eternal?
how do I know what specifically is
Yeah.
eternal?
How do you?
Something has to be eternal, or
That's not the
it
issue.
would
That's not the
violate,
question I asked you.
or it would violate
How
the
do
first
you
law of
listen
physics.
carefully? Listen, my patience is growing out. Listen,
Yeah. Okay.
your arrogance is
Mine.
impairing. Listen to me carefully. Your level of arrogance about what you know, okay, is blinding you to the areas that you simply do not know. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to be very honest with you, and you can take it as an insult. I have teenagers that I talk to that are more adept at discussing these metaphysical and scientific issues than you are. Okay,
Fine that you say that.
you are out of your league, sir, for a grown man. Now
It's
listen
it's
carefully.
better for you to tell
Okay,
me that than even let
listen
me
to me
respond.
carefully. This is how we're going to play. This is how we're going to go on from here on out. Now, I ask you a question. If you give me an answer to a question I didn't answer, I'm going to remove you from the room. I'm not wasting my time anymore with you. I stopped a review video tonight because you wanted to come in here and speak with me. Now,
Sure.
I expect you
Appreciate
to reason like an adult and conduct yourself like an adult. Now, listen carefully.
Okay.
How do you know specifically that which is eternal?
It's, to the best of my knowledge, what makes the very most sense to me.
That doesn't
And
answer the question. That was
well,
a vacuous response.
what else? What
Listen
else could it
carefully.
be?
Do
What?
you know specifically what is eternal?
Everything and nothing.
Okay. That is a non-answer. That is non-informative. Okay. Do you
Okay.
know what specifically is eternal?
I did answer this before. The singularity
All right.
and
Okay. How
nothing.
do you know that the singularity is itself eternal and not a burped out universe from a multiverse?
Even if it was a burped out,
Do you know that the singularity is not a
it,
bubble universe
it,
popped out from a multiverse?
it still would have existed somewhere else.
Is the concept of a multiverse false?
It's not known for sure, but I wouldn't.
Okay, listen to me
I
carefully.
would.
Listen, dude, I'm telling you right now, for your own good, my patience with you has almost run out. And the
Oh,
reason
I've been so
why,
nice to
listen
you.
to
I've
me
been so
carefully.
nice.
Listen to me. Yeah, you have been fairly cordial. I will give you that. But my patience is running out with you. Do you want to know why? It's because
Why?
your arrogance and your arrogance blinds you to your own ineptness and an inability to understand these subjects. You totally lack focus in this entire conversation.
Well,
now,
I'm doing my best.
do you know that a multiverse is a multiverse false?
I couldn't tell you.
If you can't tell me, then you can't claim. Then if you don't know the answer to that question,
I would believe
listen.
that
Oh, don't overtalk me. Don't overtalk me.
Sorry.
Now, you told me that the singularity is not only eternal, it's ultimate. And if it's ultimate, then you have to say the multiverse is false.
Why?
Because I asked you, what is it that is fundamental, the source of all possibility? And you said the singularity. If the singularity is fundamental, then a multiverse is false.
There could be other singularities.
All right, bye-bye. You're an idiot. You are brain dead. Bye-bye.
Well,
you're done.
Could I speak?
Wow. God, the guy has the mind of a 13-year-old.
If I may steelman him a bit, I think he was trying to go for an
What do you mean steelman him?
No, that's not the right term. I'm sorry. My bad. What would you call it when you try to build up somebody's argument from their side in order to improve their understanding?
No. Goose, you're well-meaning. I understand what steelman is. This guy was convoluted. He was flipping and flopping. He didn't have any ability to focus on any line of reasoning whatsoever. It was like dealing with an ADD 14-year-old.
He's very cordial. He doesn't know
your narrative, which you brought up with the protein sequences, that was an argument which I made when I called in at the line with Jimmy Snow. And if you want to review it, I think that was a fun call.
We can do that. I have a trouble listening to Jimmy Snow. He's a drama queen. The point with probability was I wasn't trying to disprove evolution to him via probability. What I'm trying to show him that he was so thick and he didn't understand is that he will appeal to probabilistic reasoning in order to determine that something is the case. But when it comes to the formation of even a single protein, it's as astronomically improbable as anything you could quantify. And he would have had to have conceded that all of the basic set of a rudimentary life form would be so astronomically remote that it would be at the outermost spectrum of improbability. Yet he doesn't care.
That's a great argument.
Which means it's an argument to show that they appeal to probability only when it's convenient for them. But when it mitigates against what they do believe, they abandon probabilistic reasoning.
But even his appealing to it was just BS, because he said that what's ultimate, it's more probable that it's impersonal than personal. Based on what?
I apologize to everybody. Listen, I want to apologize to everybody in the room, okay? Because I should have gotten rid of that guy within the first 10 minutes. And in spite of the fact that some people are going to think that I'm an impatient SOB, I was massively patient with that numbnuts. This guy was suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? He had no ability to think, and he just kept on spouting out answers that were only semi-related or germane to the question I was asking. 1 minute he says that the singularity is eternal and ultimate, but then when I said, is the multiverse false? And he goes, well, I don't know. Well, if it's an open question, then you cannot say that the singularity therefore is ultimate, because an ultimate singularity would rule out a multiverse.
There was inconsistent with his answers. But the worst is that the probability. The even bigger problem, Darth, is that probability in regards of the origin of life is that there was no evolution. So you had only chance. Either it was chance or intelligence. And the odds to have a minimal proteome of the smallest bacteria is 1 to 10 to the 722,000 of power.
They don't care. I agree with you. but they don't care.
He
That's
actually
why.
said, well, it's true because we're here. It happened. It doesn't matter that it's improbable.
So-
It happened.
You see, he did exactly what I just said. No, but you see, here's the reason. Listen, you can reason probabilistically and be very persuasive, but ultimately it fails because it's not logically necessitated. Okay? So the point is this. I'm not appealing to probability to disprove evolution. I'm not appealing to probability to defend that God exists. I simply appealed to him to show him that he wants to appeal to probability to say there's no God. But when I show him how improbable even the formation of the coding sequences for a single protein are so astronomically remote, he still accepts it happened in spite of its unimaginable improbability, which means he abandons probabilistic reasoning only when it suits him, or when he adopts probabilistic reasoning only when it's to his advantage.
He's close-minded.
There was one thing that I thought was interesting that I wanted to mention. For a second there, I thought he was trying to make an ontological argument. We can conceptualize that something exists, and something is greater than nothing, so it's more likely that something exists. I thought for a second that's what he was trying to go for.
No, once this guy admitted that the Big Bang cosmology was a proven fact, I knew that I was dealing with an incompetent boob. Okay? Because it's just simply a prevailing model that happens to be popular. But you see, because he's incompetent in these areas of cosmology, he takes a ubiquitous popular model as though it's an absolute fact. Okay? I should have gotten rid of him a long time ago.
Yeah, it was still fun to listen to.
I agree, Darth. I agree. He just kept appealing to like the Big Bang, but like, what point is it to come in here?
I felt like saying, go to your medicine cabinet and take your daily dose of Ritalin or Adderall so you can focus.
His name was Strong Atheist, right? But he came in here and he didn't really have a strong argument for atheism.
Oh gosh.
That has to do with the little table they draw with the four corners and agnostic atheism, strong atheism.
That's vomit-worthy.
Yes, it is, and that's where that comes from. That name.
All right. Well, speaking of idiots, let's go back to the atheist roundtable with those pseudo intellectuals, those morons, these teenagers trapped in adult bodies, and that's what they are.
All right, let's see this.
Oh, Twiggy's back.
Look at the hey, look at the trees, dude. Just look at the trees.
Oz is pretty hard to buy gifts for, so.
Oh,
yeah, my standards of evidence are pretty high.
Let's see what we get here.
Hi, I'm curious. All you guys are atheists, and because you do not believe in God, I'm curious as to how you guys are able to make truth claims, make predications rationally.
Go ahead, Oz. You go. And by the way, what's your name, just in case we have to address you?
Robin.
Oh, hey, Robin. I think Oz spoke to you before. Go ahead, Oz. How do you make truth claims?
Oh boy, this could be pretty short. Well, I already know.
Well, the question isn't how you make truth claims; it's how you're able to ground predications. So ultimately, right, your truth claims, your predications, they're going to emanate from what is foundational to all of reality and the grounds of all possibility and impossibility. So right. Do you have that in mind, what that is?
At this point, their eyes are glazing over. Nor do they care about this. Okay?
You can see it in their faces. It's hilarious.
Yeah, we can see Oz here. It's like, oh gosh, how do I troll this guy now? And then Billy Joel is Billy Joel over there on the right hand side with the white hair and the beard is looking. How can I build up enough flatulence to fart in responding to this guy? This is their mentality.
How can I act outraged, morally outraged at this? Get him off the line.
Question / lecture, but I appreciate it. Go ahead and answer the first question that he gave you, Lance.
Well, it's a loaded question. That's
it's not. This is the go-to. This is the go-to response whenever you ask ignorant atheists a question that they're uncomfortable answering or that they don't want to answer. Then the go-to response is to say that's a loaded question. There was nothing loaded about it. It says, how do you ground metaphysically the capacity to speak intelligibly? How is predication viable on your worldview? That's not a loaded question.
Also, just before that, he said it was a lecture. Jay Robin, congrats on the shortest lecture ever.
Yeah, that's because the way you asked the question
lecture
was several notches above their level of sophistication. Okay? It wasn't a loaded question. So anytime you're in a debate with an unbeliever, when they say it's a loaded question, 99 times out of 100, it's not because the question's loaded. It's because they don't want to answer the question, or they feel intellectually inept to answer the question.
So would the correct response be to ask, how did I smuggle the premise into my question? Or how did I smuggle the conclusion?
Well, you're close. What you would say is what was the illegitimate premise contained within the question that you find objectionable? So if somebody says, have you stopped beating your wife? The illegitimate premise is that you have conceded to or that you have beaten your wife. Okay? So his mission, should he choose to accept it, is to explain what the illegitimate premise that was contained within the question and why it's illegitimate.
Don't hold your breath.
Devised or built to lead to a corner or it is.
See, this is why I keep on working of simplifying and dumbing the questions down with these people. And even when you do it well, they still resort to prevarication and deception. Okay?
Or a trap. So
what's the unstated premise?
It's a trap. Okay? There you go. The question was a trap. How do you ground the intelligibility in your worldview, in your not God worldview? Oh, that's a trap.
In the atheist worldview,
of course it's a trap.
The objectionable premise is that they can have a grounding, right?
Yeah.
Premise in the question.
What's that?
What's the unstated premise? You said it was a loaded question. All I asked you is, do you have in mind what is fundamental and ultimate in reality that will ground any truth claim or proposition? Any fact, any state of affairs.
Okay. So I'll give you my answer, which you're not going to like. So I was trying to be generous. I don't. It doesn't really matter to me.
He was trying to be generous by accusing you of stating a loaded question.
It doesn't matter. So in other words, he's just dismissive. Okay. So in other words, if we quote the Bible, their attitude is, well, why should I accept that? Well, it's the word of God. Well, prove it. So when you ask him, when he utters propositions, truth claims, okay, predication, well, what grounds that? Well, it doesn't matter to me. So the next time we quote the Bible and they say, well, prove your Bible. So, well, that doesn't matter to me. I don't have to prove that.
So the follow-up question from here is, then what are you basing your truth claims on? If not from some fundamental grounding, what are you basing the claims you make on?
Look, that answer he just gave, it doesn't matter to me, is as stupid as his face appears on camera. Okay?
I don't really care how that happens. So you can do what.
So really, I thought you guys were all about reason, right? Right? You guys are all about reason. Yeah.
As you please.
Okay. So do you believe that there is anything foundational to reality that will be the cause and grounds of all that is, can, and cannot be?
I don't know if there is. Do you?
Is that a poem?
Well, if you don't Well, yeah, it is a problem because if nothing can be defended to be the cause and grounds of possibility and impossibility, you destroy your ability to speak intelligibly because your reasoning.
You see, their eyes are glazing over. They don't have the foggiest idea of what you're talking about, right? Does anyone in here think that these guys understand what J. Robin is saying to them?
Yeah, you could just simplify it. Just say, "There's no reason for me to accept anything you say."
Depend that certain things are impossible,
okay.
and that there are certain regularities and laws in nature.
Okay.
Okay. So you asked me the question. I told you I don't. One, I don't really care about. The other one, I don't know, and I don't really think that you know, because if
right. But I gave you the problem with that. I gave.
Now you'll notice what he's going to try to do is he's going to just ignore his worldview problem, his not God worldview problem, and then he's going to insist that you prove God. Okay?
I gave you the problem, right? If you cannot defend what is ultimate, then nothing can be defended to be impossible. Nothing, your facts, truth will emanate from vacuum, from a realm of chance.
And guess what? That has not affected. That's not affected my life at all up to this point, and it won't after this conversation. So what is it that you're defending?
He's a completely retard. He doesn't have any intellectual wherewithal. He's intellectually inept here, right? This is why I say these guys are man children, right?
His argument is that he doesn't care.
I don't care. It doesn't affect me.
Like that's not even an argument.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't care. I don't care.
Defending.
Oh god.
I haven't made a claim about defending anything. I'm here asking you a question about your atheism. We could talk about my worldview, but
no, you did.
What I'm asking you
actually
to acknowledge.
Define atheism for me, Robin.
What I'm asking.
Here we go again. Now what they're going to try to introduce here is the definitional argument for atheism. Okay, the definitional argument for atheism.
It doesn't actually matter because he's asking them about what their atheism entails.
Yeah.
So why would he have to define it? He's asking them about their position.
Yeah. Well, you see, they want their atheism just to believe atheism is just rejecting of a God claim. But we're not making any claims. See, this is the little game that they're playing.
Here's the thing. I don't think it matters how he defines it. It doesn't matter what he says here. They're going to use it as a jumping off point. Even if he nails exactly what they want him to say,
it's going to be a
argue
segue point. It's going to be a segue point to try to get the monkey off their back and explain their model of reality.
Even if he quotes them, suppose he had written down some quotes from them on the definition of atheism, and he was actually quoting to them something they said on a prior day, they would still segue from it. They would still argue.
Of course, absolutely. This is the name of the game.
I'm asking you to do right now is to acknowledge, what I said, and if you have a rebuttal to it, that's fine. If you don't have a rebuttal to it, that's fine. But I haven't heard an acknowledgement now of what I said about as it regards to impossibility, possibility, and intelligibility.
No, I did answer that. I don't know where it comes from.
You just said you don't care, but I want to hear, is my reasoning incorrect? If so, why?
How does it tie into atheism? Give me a statement on how that ties into atheism.
Because you do not believe, as an atheist, you hold that there is no ultimate creator God that will be the grounds and cause of all temporal states of affairs, all possibility and all impossibility. So because you do not believe that such a being exists that will ground these things, okay, then all your facts, all of your any proposition you assert will ultimately emanate from nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Tell me that guy on the right-hand side, Nate. Tell me he's not the spitting image of Billy Joel. Everybody see him? Oh.
Yeah, I saw him. I don't really know what Billy Joel looks like, so.
He looks just like.
He does look like Billy
Dude,
Joel.
that guy keeps like making weird facial expressions about everything that the caller has to say, and it's just like totally annoying.
Yeah, because he's intellectually inept, right? They're arrogant and they're blinded by their own stupidity. I'm telling you, these are children trapped in adult bodies.
Nothing will ground any truth claim that you assert.
So that's what I was waiting for the God card to be played, because I knew eventually that was coming. So as most anybody that presupposes a God, and this is where I rewind us back to the
Wait, I didn't claim to presuppose anything.
Hang on a second, Robin. Go ahead, Oz.
You
You
did.
just did.
But
Actually,
we have to rewind back.
He
to
did
the
not
because if we're going
assert
to
God's existence.
talk about the ultimate foundation, or however you want to word it or term it, I first need to know how we have justified reason and grounding to know that this God exists. Then we can walk down the path, or go down this pathway of talking about where all of these things come from, where the
So this is total dodge, total misdirection. This is what they do. This is just a wall of words because they're intellectually inept.
foundation is, where they're rooted in.
I was just going to say, Annie just straight lies about what Robin said. Robin did not assert that God exists. He said, since you don't believe that what's ultimate is God,
then you're
what
operating.
What do you believe?
You're operating from a model of reality that is not instituted and controlled by God. So I want to know, since intelligibility is not to be deemed to be derived from God, then what is the basis for it? Well, his answer is, I don't care, I don't know.
Because I'm saying, I don't know. I don't know. You're claiming, once a God is brought up, I assume that you're going to root everything and ground everything in that God. Well, first we have to know that God exists, or this is just either a.
Wait a minute, wait for it. Here it comes. You ready? They're going to say, which God?
We're presupposing, or which I think is the same thing. We're just going to do the God of the gaps thing and say we don't understand.
Okay, see, notice how they go to the atheist cliches, right, and platitudes, God of the gaps. No, positing that we have either God or not God as the ground of all possibility is not God of the gaps philosophy. But he doesn't know anything else intellectually to say. So what they do is they reach into their little bag of atheist cliches and platitudes and catchphrases, and they say, God of the gaps, God of the gaps, God of the gaps, because they don't know what else to say.
Understand, we don't know, therefore God.
Like all atheists, either they don't care or they don't understand the severity of what Robin is pointing out, that all of his assertions here, every word he speaks practically is just BS, because he has no basis to ground any of his assertions of fact. So he's like, it's like manure pouring from his mouth at this point.
Yeah, I like what you said is he doesn't understand the severity. It's like somebody who goes to the doctor, right? And they have a life-threatening heart condition, and they just think that they just have simply a mild heart flutters or something like that, and the doctor's trying to explain to them that they're in an absolute precarious situation, and that in order for them to survive, they have to acknowledge the precarious situation, and then they can be in a position to accept the cure so that they can be removed from that precarious medical situation. And you said he's clueless as to the severity of it. He's absolutely clueless as to the situation that he's in. He's literally clueless. He's a deer in the headlights.
And he doesn't even want to understand it.
Because
no, it's a complete redirect. That's what they do. They redirect. They wait for you to say one word, and then they redirect the question. Instead of you asking the question, they just put it back on you.
They no matter what questions you ask them, it's always going to come back to prove your God, prove your God, prove your God, prove your God. Well, in order for us to prove God, we first have to show you. Okay, the first step in proving to you God, right, is to show you that your non-acceptance of God is itself incoherent. Right?
In his world in which he cannot identify the basis of possibility and impossibility, then he can't say anything's impossible. So any of his assertions that he's making in his frame of reference can coexist with their negations, and both could be true.
That's right.
At the same time.
But he doesn't.
Sense.
They don't care, because we're not dealing with people who have a good intellect. We're dealing with people who are inept intellectually, and so they just reason like defiant teenagers. Right? He doesn't care. He does not understand. No, look, he said it himself. I don't care.
You good, Oz?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Robin, go ahead. Back on. Go ahead, Robin. Back on with your script, bro.
Okay. Notice that insult there. Okay, from Pasta Mike. Pasta Mike is the guy who has the picture of the flying spaghetti monster. Right. Notice that the atheists never go on a script. It's only Christians go on a script. Right.
Well, that's because what they're calling scripts, I've realized a while ago, what they mean is lines of reasoning, and atheists don't have lines of reasoning, so they never use them, right?
No. So it's perfectly legitimate in a debate to criticize somebody saying, "Yeah, that's a nice script that you have," but this is not something that Robin has memorized. Okay, right? So this is just another sleazy tactic. Now, I'm not saying it's never that it's always inappropriate to say to somebody, "Oh, that's a nice script." Sometimes it is appropriate, but many times it's just a tactic of derision.
I was going to say, when he says, "I don't care," in a way what he's saying is, I don't care if my worldview, when I deny God, is irrational. I'm still going to do it.
So this is why when we try to have adult conversations with atheists, in certain situations it goes nowhere, because they have the reasoning capacity of children. Nor do they want to reason like big boys, because they don't care. Because if they actually put on their thinking caps and reason like adults, then guess what happens to their atheism? But because they do not want to give up their atheism, they refuse to think like adults.
Okay, now I haven't made a claim to you about whether or not a God exists. I never made that. I never told you God existed, right? I'm simply addressing your worldview as an atheist. You asked me what it meant to be an atheist and the implications of that, and I told you what that is, right? You do not, just because you do not believe in a God. Now that's all I said. Because you do not believe in a God that will ground these things, possibility, impossibility, then you do not have intelligibility, because your intelligibility, your ability to reason, okay, is going to be contingent on your ability, on the fact that certain things are impossible.
Now, does anybody think right now at this juncture that any one of these little children trapped in adult bodies is going to respond intelligently, or just simply ignore what J. Robin just said and then just throw out another atheist cliche?
If they were going to respond intelligently and truthfully, what they would say is, I don't understand why certain things have to be impossible for intelligibility. Can you explain that to me? They would have to say that.
No, but they're not going to.
They don't even understand anything.
They're going to be rude. They're going to be dismissive, and they're going to, as the other gentleman at the bottom of the list, they're just going to try to redirect the conversation. Okay.
Okay. Now, I want to hear a response to that specifically.
I want to hear how, just because we don't believe in a God, how those things that you're talking about, that you're claiming you don't think come from a God, because you haven't said that yet. I'd like to know how they come from a God and not something else.
Well, the answer to it, and I haven't heard J. Robin's answer, the answer is something that in the God worldview, as opposed to your worldview, the not God worldview, they come from God because God would be the creator and the source of all possibility. And since predication, intelligibility, reason, the acquisition of truth would all come from God because he's the creator. They come from God because he would be the creator, but you don't accept that. So I want to know What is the source and the basis of those things? They cannot answer it. Notice again, he's trying to redirect.
I didn't claim they came from a God.
Rewind that like
Again,
a couple seconds and replay it?
How many seconds?
Just like 10. I want to hear his exact question, what he just said again.
Specifically.
I want to hear how, just because we don't believe in a God, how those things that you're talking about that you're claiming you don't think come from a God, because you haven't said that yet. I'd like to know how they come from a God and not something.
See, redirect.
Well, he could say, well, you haven't given us any reason to think they come from not God yet.
Well, that won't work.
Well, he could say that and then just put it back on the same conversation, right?
I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be mean, but these are literally adults who reason like teenagers. That's how inept they are.
Something else.
I didn't claim they came from a God. Again, I'm addressing your worldview.
Then where do those things come from?
And you have and to this point, you have not addressed a single word that I've said.
Well, I don't know where those things come from. So where do they come from?
Right. So if you don't know where they come from, then they
see. That was very good, J. Robbins. You ignored his request and you stayed focused. That was very good.
Cannot
if
be
he doesn't
grounded.
know where they, if he doesn't know what the basis of his his statements are, is
intelligibility, then how can you claim you have intelligible reasoning as that you don't have grounds to believe in God?
Yeah, why trust your own brain, right?
He could also point out that you don't have a basis to make any rational assertions. That all the assertions, all the questions you ask are not rational.
So all of your objections to the God worldview are simply groundless. So they're violating their own criterion of belief. Okay? But they don't care. These are not honest people. These are human beings that are willing to just play little word games, redirect, dodge, prevaricate.
You know the little game that kids used to play where it's like, don't step on the crack or you break your mama's back? They're doing like a don't step on, explain our atheism. Make someone else step on it, right?
Well, that's what they're going to play, the definitional game that atheism is just simply, I lack belief in God, right?
Well, you can tell they've already decided they're not going to answer this question. So all they're going to do is just put the question back on him over and over. It's their mission.
Yeah.
That's what they've decided.
That's exactly right.
These things like the regularity of nature.
Where do they come
from? The fact.
Hey, Robin, where do they come from?
What I think is irrelevant right now.
No, but I'm asking you, where do they come
from? We are addressing.
I don't believe in the God part. So
right.
Where do they come from?
So I'm giving.
So I don't believe in the God part, the part where God did this. That's the part I don't believe in. So where did they come from if that's not the thing?
So we're not.
Well, hold on. Does he believe any part of it?
Yeah. If he doesn't believe that they come from God, say then okay. So then why do you believe the uniformity of nature exists? Do you believe the uniformity of nature is real? And if so, is it absolute and eternal in and of itself, or did something? And go, well, I don't know. Say, oh, so then you're believing that something is actual and regular without reason. Then you see what they do believe. You see, this shows you what lying scumbags they are. They're completely disingenuous. Okay, they believe certain things are a foundational given. But in order for them to believe that, they have to violate their own criterion of belief, the same criterion that they use to dismiss God. But they don't care. They simply don't care.
We're not gonna get off of this point until I.
Yeah, we are. We see how easy it is to get off the point. It's not hard. Nate, see how easy that was?
See how they muted them. You see now they're laughing. Because these are man children, right?
Oh, are we off the point?
Yeah, we're off the point.
Oh, well,
it's not hard to get off the point.
Is that what's going on?
It's not hard to get off the point, Robin. Like, Robin, what's your name? What's your real name? Is it Robin?
Yes. See how easy it is to retreat from intellectual engagement, guys. Just don't intellectually engage with people. It's easy.
Yeah, just rather than respond like an intelligent adult, just be an asshole. That's what these guys are. These guys are a-holes.
That's
Yeah,
irrelevant.
but watch how easy it is to get off the point. Look at that. Holy shit. So easy to get off the point.
See, this is how pothead smoking defiant teenagers act.
Anyway,
No, I told you it was irrelevant.
So how did God?
Now
do these
again,
things? How did God do these things?
I didn't claim.
Oh, this is the Robin Show. Hey guys, welcome to the Robin Show. This is the Robin Show. Robin gets to do what the fuck he wants. Anyway, Robin. So how the fuck did God do this? Go ahead and tell me. You got 2 seconds.
I thought this was a call-in.
Yeah, it is.
I thought this was.
It is a call-in show. Tell us how God did it.
So you should be able to answer basic questions.
How did God do it?
You should be able to answer basic questions about your worldview. If you're not prepared to answer questions about your worldview, you shouldn't be on.
How did God do it, Robin?
So do you have a?
How did God do it?
To what I said.
How did God do it?
A response to what I said.
How did God do it?
You don't.
So how did God do it?
What he's doing right now is he's channeling Jack. What he's doing is he's channeling Jack Angstrike. When you're backed into a corner, you just keep asking a question to your opponent over and over.
Yeah. Yeah. This is this is just. I mean, this is what scumbags these guys are.
There's some old man in the Iron Age. Go ahead,
Robin. This is how we ground it. I am my God. I am the God, and I have grounded all intelligibility and everything I need to know within myself.
Okay. Now, does anybody believe that he believes that? Because if he did believe that, he would be a schizophrenic. So rather than answer the question, they just lie. This is what atheists do. This is a grown man.
And you just revealed it.
That's an atheist.
You revealed it to me. Just
so.
I just had a personal revelation, a natural and super.
Well, basically, he's just decided to lie. The conversation's over.
Yeah. He just ended the conversation right there. Okay. So in other words,
I couldn't stand this whole conversation. It just pissed me
yeah,
off.
aren't they? Yeah. This is why I told you I didn't know how long I was going to be able to last, because these guys are such a-holes.
I would say at this point, there's no point in trying to rationally continue the conversation, because Robin's the only one committed to rationality here. So you might as well just point out what they're doing and just leave. Say, congratulations, guys. You have chased me away.
But then they accuse you of rage quitting. Okay.
Oh, who cares?
Okay.
Who cares? Their assertions are baseless.
I'm holding a coin in one of my hands. Which hand is it in?
It's in both of them.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Correct. So yeah. So no, because in order for you to ground these things, you're going to need to be omniscient. If you don't know what coin I'm holding in my hand,
Nate, I think I know where the coin was.
Nate, doesn't your mom believe in the Christian God? Go and ask her what the same thing Robin just said.
Yeah, I don't know that that's relevant, but I know where the coin went. It went up Brian's ass because he played.
Okay.
This is the part when I bailed.
So this is what happens when you go in and you ask an intellectual, metaphysical question, trying to examine the coherency of atheism. These grown adults who pretend like they're doing a show because they want people to call in, and they're going to sincerely they're acting worse than children.
Well, it's interesting that Buddy brought up severity, because you can literally see the severity hitting them by the way that they're acting, right? Start ad hom, start redirecting, start swearing. It's such a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they understand the severity on a almost instinctual level, that they know it's bad, but they don't comprehend it. They couldn't explicate it to you, right?
And
yeah, completely.
I'm gonna get back to the original topic. I want to be focused on the topic that I asked you.
Again. Sorry,
you're trying extremely.
Dial it in.
You're trying extremely hard to deflect from what I'm asking.
We got off the point.
Because
dial it in, Nate.
We got off the point.
They're dodging so hard they're getting sweaty.
Right.
Someone
So
wiped the
I'm
sweat from
trying
their
to get back on it because
how did God do it?
Hey, these sourhead bangs, they're shit, by the way.
They really are.
So
Okay.
I am
Again.
Robin. I am omniscient in my own life and my own world. So
I still don't believe in you, though, Oz.
That's okay. I have more evidence that I exist than God does, so we're good.
I'm still an atheist. I'm still an atheist to you, still.
Evidence.
So now the question is, how did he determine that all the evidences and facts around him don't necessitate referencing God? How did he determine that?
Well, you think you're going to get
Evidence
a truthful answer
pertain.
after this?
By the
dude saying he's God?
way, this isn't the first time that Oz is a complete asshole. I've encountered this guy several times on Discord hangouts, and he's a complete a-hole. He's an adult, and he literally acts like a cocky, arrogant, snotty-nosed 15-year-old.
Okay, so what is?
You see, they think they're really clever when they BS and when they act like a-holes, right?
Do people actually watch these guys?
Yeah. Oh, atheists love watching this stuff. Who do you think watches most of these shows? It's just the atheist fanboys out there. I'm just going over this occasionally to show people how incompetent, how irrational these people are. Are any of these three people coming across as being rational adults?
They're not even coming at this with good faith. It's just deceitful.
Yeah. It's worse than that. It's worse than being deceitful.
Foundational, fundamental reality that will secure the viability of evidence and empirical endeavors. What is that?
I have nothing else to do. Nothing.
Who's that?
Who's that?
Was that God?
Somebody's mom bringing him chick tendies in the basement.
I have spring break next week, so I mean, there's no work.
Can you answer that? That was a question. I'm waiting for the answer to the question.
I'm pretty sure we answered it and you didn't like the answer.
See, that's another atheist tactic. Okay, they'll give a nonsensical gobbledygook diversionary response, and someone like Jay Robin will say, "Well, you really didn't answer the question," which they didn't. And so what they will do is they will compound the first line of prevarication with lying about it, lying that they didn't prevaricate, saying, "Oh, I did answer it," meaning I didn't prevaricate. You just didn't like the answer. You see how scummy these people are? Now, I'll say this again. There are some times that we can truthfully address somebody's question and somebody can reject our cogent answer that is on topic, right? And somebody might not like the answer, even though it was an answer to the question. But they have not answered the question. You see how sleazy these people are? These guys are sleazebags.
No, you didn't answer the question. I asked you, what is it foundationally that will be the grounds for the viability of evidence? And you haven't answered that question.
Yes.
Evidence of what?
Well, you appealed to evidence. You said that there was more evidence for you existing than there was for God. Okay.
Just because we don't believe in the bullshit God that he does, right? He expects us to answer all these dumb questions.
They're not dumb questions. They're actually very well thought out questions. You see how derisive these people are? Right? They can't answer the questions, so they call them dumb.
I don't care about all that shit. I also don't believe in the God that he believes in. So that's it. That's the end of it. End of the story.
That's you to back up claims. You're the one making the claim.
No.
Now, if you can't back up your truth claims.
No, notice again. They're now the atheists are waving the white flag by claiming that their atheism is not a claim. Right? This is waving the white flag. Listen to me. That guy, Pasta Mike, earlier said he believes that there's no God. Right? This is what these liars do. One moment, I could go back. I don't know what the timestamp is. Right? But if we go back, he made a statement that he doesn't believe that there's a God. But now he's pretending that his atheism is just, well, we're just unconvinced. You're the one making the claim here. But earlier he said there was no God.
Maybe you shouldn't be on YouTube making.
What claim, Robin?
You said that there was more evidence. You said there was more evidence for him existing than for there.
Oh, you're talking to Oz.
I'm addressing that claim.
You're talking to Oz. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Oz. He's talking to you.
Okay.
I know Tangelo just said you lost.
So defend that. Now, how do you know that all the facts of existence do not necessitate reference?
Shut up for a minute, Robin. Hey, Tangelo said you lost. Oz. Send Tangelo the belt. Can you send him the belt?
These
Go get the belt.
I was saying that against
I've already dealt
these
with him, Angelo.
clowns and not against Robin, but they just inverted what I said.
What did you say, Otangela, that they're having a fit about?
Well, I said that they lost, that Oz and the other two clowns lost, not Robin, but they just inverted my criticism and that I was referring that to Robin, which it wasn't true.
Did you correct that in the chat?
Yes. It's subsequently I'm clarifying it, that this wasn't directed to Robin.
Go ahead, Robin. I just had to let Otangelo know. He's one of the top Christians we have. He's a little bit more above you, I think. I think he's above you a little bit.
That's fine. Okay. Again, the question here, you said that there was more evidence for the existence.
Notice the desperate, not just dragging the red herring, they're like waving it furiously, right? He's a better Christian. Otangelo's, he's higher in the Christian hierarchy than you are. What do you think about that?
Existence of yourself than for the existence of God. But that would only be true if all the facts of existence do not necessitate reference to God. So how did you determine that that's the case?
Well, no, that's where we disagreed. I don't attach anything to God.
See, he didn't even understand what you just said. That's what a simpleton this guy is. Okay? He's actually a simpleton as an adult.
That's actually a very good attack on that statement, Robin, that he says there's more evidence for him than there is for God. Well, in the case God exists, then everything's evidence for God, right?
Right. Well, people don't. He doesn't. I mean, you find this a lot. They don't think about what they're saying, and so they expect you to just go along with their claims, like nothing happened. That's not what precepts do. So,
believe that all the facts that exist, all faith of affairs, do not necessitate referencing God for their existence. How did you determine that that's the case? Because you made a claim about evidence about 5 minutes ago. So how did you determine that all the facts of existence do not have their causal origin?
Well, because I am my own God, and
God damn.
Yeah. So in other words, he made a statement about evidence that there was no evidence for God. Okay, he made a claim. There's more evidence for myself than there is for God. What he's basically saying is the evidence for God is absent. And say all Robin's doing, I'll say, okay, how did you determine that? And because Oz is an idiot, he's completely intellectually inept. He turns us into a crap show.
Well, all you can do here is just point out he's conceding now. You're conceding. You don't have a rational defense for that assertion.
God damn it, Oz.
That's what I decided.
Damn it! You made a claim. God damn it.
Okay. Again, how did you determine that all of the facts of existence do not reference the personal absolute that is God?
What's the intelligibility, Oz? Come on.
See, this is all they're left with is sarcasm, ridicule, mocking, derision, contempt. What does this tell you, folks, about the mind of your average YouTube atheist? These guys are ignoramuses. If they could present an intelligent defense of their atheism, they would do so, but they can't.
I will say I do like how it's silent, it's very quiet, like a crypt. There's not a lot of yucking it up going on right now.
Yeah,
right.
A crypt.
No, I am. It's me. I set the standards. It doesn't matter if you understand it or you don't like it.
Yeah, but again, you're wrong about which coin was in my hand. Let's try this again, okay? I'm holding a
I
coin
didn't say that,
in one of my hands. Which hand is
said
it?
you're not doing a very good job of listening then, because I said.
You see, look, they simply do not care about being truthful. All they want to do is an SHIT show. That's all they care about.
Well,
you
look
could ask
at
him.
look in Oz's eyes in general. They're dead. He's not paying attention. He's checked out. He doesn't care. So if he's not even caring enough to in good faith answer these questions, then why the heck are they even doing it?
Because it's an SHIT show. That's all it is.
You could ask him. You could say, well, obviously you're lying about this. Are you lying when you say that there's more evidence for you than there is for God too? Are you lying about that too?
They don't. No, it doesn't matter. Listen, they are shameless.
I know.
This is why it is fruitless to call in and talk with people like this, because either they'll do this crap or they'll do the kind of crap that Matt the Bloviator does or Eric Permboy Murphy does. They are shameless. Okay.
I said, I am my God.
Are you omniscient?
I am omniscient in my life.
Omniscient?
Yes, in my own life. Yes, I am my own God.
Okay. No, it has nothing to do with your life. Okay, we're talking about universals here. We're not talking about your life. This is not your life that we're talking about. Okay. When we're
I'm sorry. You're asking me questions.
We're talking about.
Shut up for a minute, Robin. Go ahead. Go ahead, Oz.
You were asking me questions. I was answering questions about.
Robin. Oz had something important to say. Okay, dude.
I gotta say, there's nothing better than the name Matt Dillablovian. I just wanted to comment on that.
Well, if anybody wants to contribute to my growing list of nicknames for atheist YouTubers, I'm more than willing to take suggestions.
I call him. His name is Matt Dilla Humpty Dumpty, and I have a meme that I'll post in general after this.
Oh, I like
that.
Wait
a minute. Matt Dilla Humpty Dumpty. Well.
Oh, is it because words mean what he wants them to mean?
No, I just turned his whole head into like an Eggman. It's hilarious. You guys will love it.
No. I don't want to. Yeah. Well, the only reason why I make fun of Shannon Q Duck Lips is because she purposely does that to her lips. She does it on purpose.
I bet Matt. I bet he shines his head. I bet he does.
Oh wait, I think I got my fairy tales confused. That's not in Humpty Dumpty, is it?
Yeah, Humpty Dumpty said to Alice in Wonderland in Through the Looking Glass, "Words mean whatever I want them to mean, no more, no less." The question is, who is the master of them all? Okay, look it up, Humpty Dumpty.
No, I remembered it. I just thought I got the wrong fairy tale.
Look, they've already lost. Okay, they all know. Okay, and every single one of them, with no exception, they all know that atheism means there's no God. They all know this.
I would say it's obviously lost, and right now they're just on damage control duty, trying to mitigate.
I wouldn't
damage.
even. I wouldn't even say it like that. I think they're just trying to be a-holes and yuck it up for atheists who are watching.
That I really don't care.
Do you really think that? I mean, do you think that there's any honesty in some of the way that they're arguing, or do you think that it's simply
no, absolutely not? They're look. Number one, all three of them are intellectually inept to carry on this conversation, because if they were adept, as opposed to being inept at doing this, they would respond intellectually. But they can't. So all they're doing is your usual atheist cliche slogans, and now just resorting to ridicule, sarcasm, snottiness. Okay.
Muting.
Oz says,
muting.
Oz says, I'm my own God. I'm on my own life. Imagine telling that to somebody like in a court of law or something like that. They'd be ordering a psych evaluation. That's complete nonsensical. It's complete garbage.
He doesn't care. Don't you understand that some of these people, they don't even care about they don't care about their appearance of how they're conducting themselves. They simply don't care because at the end of the day, they're like, hey man, I dropped my drawers and I took a dump on Jay Robbins' call in when he called in. That's all they care about.
Actually, it's more like it's that story where the guy put poop in his mouth and spit it on police officers. That's what he's doing
That's
intellectually
disgusting.
here.
Yeah.
He's spraying Jay Robin with his own poop that's in his mouth intellectually.
Now, sorry. So you don't think that you don't think it's just ignorance on their part? You think this is an intentional deception?
No. I think that their level of ignorance and ineptness is by choice. They don't.
When he says he's God,
They're-
like I don't see how you could take that other than just BSing.
Look, they don't care to exercise the brain that God gave them. They are motivated only by one thing, that they don't want God to exist. And anything that is stated that will lead to theological significance, they're going to urinate or defecate on, either overtly or covertly. This is the game that atheists play.
Oz looks like he's wondering when he can take his next bong hit.
Yeah, probably. Look what happened when I spoke with Lawrence Krauss. How long did it take Lawrence Krauss to start being obscene with me and no longer wanted to talk with me? Then, how long did it take Philippe Leon to want to get rid of me? Okay. How long did it take Graham Oppie, where Graham Oppie did not want to continue to talk with me? Right? Then we go to PZ Myers, where PZ Myers lasted less than 4 minutes, and he was basically like, "Get rid of this guy." Right? And then we had Massimo Pallucci, okay, with 2 earned PhDs, a well-known atheist firebrand, and he didn't want to do it. Right? Now, all of those individuals that I just mentioned have academic achievements. These are people who are to be respected in terms of their intelligence. They're not ignorant people. They're not intellectually inept. But they, too, resorted to being slimy, sleazy, and deceptive and dismissive. Okay? But these
I thought
guys...
it's always been the fact that they're just so ignorant about thinking in terms of worldviews that they say this foolishness.
Look, but these guys, they don't even have the intellectual wherewithal, even if they were motivated to discuss this issue. So if I get the kind of crap treatment that all of the previous academics that I mentioned, if that's how they treated me, then we shouldn't be surprised that ignoramuses like this. These guys, they're completely out of their league. They don't even understand what Jay Robin is talking about.
If you don't have a coin in the hand at all, I'm omniscient in my own life, my own experience. So that's all I need.
I'm omniscient in my own experience. You see, this is either he's mentally retarded or he's just a liar. Omniscience means to know all propositions.
Yeah, he's not even omniscient in his own. Could you tell us how many times he blinked yesterday?
Yeah, great point.
Of course,
Good point. He's being intellectually dishonest, and he's just a liar.
And he doesn't look.
Yeah, but see, it just seems like these guys think.
Look, it's worse. It's worse that they're just lying. They don't care. This is just an SHIT show.
Because it just looks like to me that not so much that he's lying, it's just he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because why would he want to? If they really want to embarrass themselves all day, then wow.
I tell you that Nate guy in the right hand corner, he really looks like the dopey love child of Billy Joel. He really does.
Matter is what is the grounds of reality of all temporal states of affairs. Okay, now that which is the grounds of all temporal states of affairs, that in order for us to have human intelligibility, one of the characteristics of that ground is that it needs to be omniscient. Okay, now what I want you to do for me, since you claim to be that ground, is to tell me which hand the coin is in. Okay, I have it in one of my hands.
And take your shirt off as well, Oz. That's what I want you to do for me.
And while you're at it, jump to the moon since you're omnipotent as well.
Yeah.
In fact, I want you to reach through your screen okay, and give me a handshake.
Give me a hand job, he said. Robin said, give him a hand job.
You see what you see.
I mean, who is this guy making this comment?
Sexual innuendos now.
You see what perverts they are. Okay, now
Not
are
even
we to
innuendos.
why are we to take these people as being intellectually serious when he has to absorb to obscene imagery? This is what scumbags these people are.
Up to the screen.
But I feel
you know
like it's their ignorance that motivates this. Their arrogance.
Yeah, it's because they think because they have an attitude that therefore, that makes them smart atheists. They're not. It makes them look like idiots.
Of course, they're obscene and
They
they're,
do
and
look
they're,
like
spir- they're
idiots.
spiritually dead. They don't need to worry about that. They don't care.
Well, that's my
right.
point.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
their arrogance is why they talk like that. I don't think it's so much dishonesty. They're just so arrogant. They just really think they've got it figured out. And so when you're challenging them, they don't realize what fools they're making themselves look.
Yeah, it's both situations. Are they spiritually dead? Yeah, they're because to be spiritually dead is to be alienated to God. To be spiritually dead is to, at a moment by moment basis, be clinging to your autonomous reasoning. Okay, and so when you hold to autonomous reasoning, then to that degree you are going to have arrogance. Okay, because autonomous reasoning has the arrogant mindset. I am in not need of acknowledging God.
Green.
Give me a handshake.
Oh, shake. Sorry, shake. He said shake.
Yeah.
He said shake.
I don't know Robin like that.
Well, he sounds like a nice guy.
Where'd the coins come from?
Yeah. So again, you're making these things up on the spot. You're embarrassing yourself.
You're embarrassing yourself in front of all.
I would like.
Shut your mouth for a minute, Robin. You're sounding stupid. Oz, you're embarrassing your.
Don't raise your voice, Robin. You're such a nasty guy. How dare you?
In front of everybody.
I know. Well, it's see. I was actually trying to take a nice, polite way with the precept.
Yeah,
arguments,
honestly, Robin,
but it just seems that no matter how hard I try to do that,
fall into because these people are disgusting. It's almost as bad as the atheist experience.
it always ends in this. Robin, I really don't care about all your script and everything you may have typed or written down. At the end of the day, it's going to come back and fall back on a God claim that this God is the root of everything, is the source of everything. And at the end of the day, your argument is completely invalid and void and bullshit.
Okay, you can only say that any proposition is bullshit is if you have a metaphysic and something that dictates what is true and not true.
Yeah, does he have a reason for any of those claims he just made? He's already told us he doesn't.
Do you understand? What he's saying is the propositions that Robin is making is BS. But in a world where nothing is grounded to be impossible, you can't say anything is BS. You see, listen, we have to look beyond what they're simply saying. We have to look at what are the implicit premises or what necessarily follows from that. If he's saying whatever propositions Robin says is BS, then that means that he believes that certain things are off limits, certain things are impossible. But what makes any proposition off limits or impossible in Oz's world? The answer is he has nothing.
He doesn't know and he doesn't care.
He said, I don't know and I don't care. But if you don't know what is fundamental, then you can't say that anything is BS or off limits. But you see, he doesn't care about how logically inconsistent and self-contradictory he is. They don't care. They simply don't care. This is just they're getting their rocks off doing the show, being snide, ridiculing, right? And redirecting any theist that calls in and just treat them badly. Okay? They're just doing this for kicks. These are not serious players.
This is like a hazing, an atheist hazing.
Yeah. Well, that's a very good.
Get their rocks off.
Well, that's a euphemism for something else sexually. Okay, but you know what, Parakeet, you're right. Right. This is a form of hazing light. It's a form of verbal hazing.
Until you can demonstrate that the God exists, and if you do that, and if you can do that, then all of us will listen to the script. But until
Okay, but when you say until you can demonstrate God exists, inherent within that, is that so far everything around you doesn't indicate God exists. That's a claim. He's making a claim. Until you can demonstrate that God exists. Could he make that statement if he didn't already presuppose that nothing indicates God? But will he defend the underlying premise there? No, he won't. And they don't care. He doesn't want to.
Well, he's already conceded that all of his assertions are bullshit.
You know,
right?
and this is a script that
by
he's
his
doing.
standard, they're all bullshit.
This is a script that he's doing. Until you can demonstrate that until you can demonstrate that your God exists, I'm not going to listen to anything you all say. But that too is a script. Okay?
You're just mind jerking games. You're mentally masturbating, and it may sound cool to you. It doesn't sound cool to us.
Oh, didn't he sound so alpha male there?
And by the way, this is exactly what Lawrence Krauss said to me when I questioned him. Now, at least Philip Leone and Graham Oppie had more class, okay? Unlike the classless Lawrence Krauss, right? P.Z. Myers, wasn't as crude, but he was as equally as dismissive. And, Massimo Pologi, although he wasn't crude, he was just dismissive as well. Does everybody see the pattern of behavior, whether they're highly educated or they're moron slobs like we're seeing on this stupid YouTube channel? It's the same thing. It's just they're just arrogant and dismissive. That's all it is. Arrogance and dismissiveness.
Pray. I'll even pray.
Okay. So, well, the reason you're dismissing it offhand is because you, along with everyone else that's watching, along with the co-host here, realize that you cannot answer the question and address the points that I'm making to you.
You know what? You just drove the stake through Dracula's heart. You just exposed these guys as frauds. Okay? Robin just exposed these frauds.
And so to
because we don't need to,
and to make yourself and to cope with this and to make yourself.
Well, yeah, you do need to, right?
Well, if you don't, if he doesn't, then all of his assertions are bullshit, right?
You see, we need to prove God, but when they hold to the not God position, they don't need to prove that. Does everybody see their double standard, right? Look, how many hours have been wasted? I mean, unimaginable number of hours where before we can get to the battlefield about God or not God, we have to battle these guys about lying about what their real position is. They won't even admit what their position is. But you see, earlier in the video, we heard Pasta Mike state that he didn't believe there was a God. But then they claim that they're not making a God and that you're the one who has the burden of proof. You see the double talk that goes on with these people? Same thing with Shannon Q. Ducklips, right? She says in the past, "Oh, I'm a temporal agnostic. Oh, I don't know." And then she turns around on another YouTube channel and she says that she's almost 100% certain that there is no God. They talk out of both sides of their mouth. This is why it is difficult talking with these people, because they will turn on lying or turn it off when it suits them.
Yourself as a defense mechanism, you are doing this. It's not a threat at all.
Oh, poor Robin. Poor Robin. You know, Robin, what's that song? Rockin' Robin.
I love that song.
Yeah. Nice guy. Just terrible ideas. And by the way, Oz, you just
wait a minute. How can you say that any idea or proposition is terrible or off limits unless you have a preconceived metaphysic that something is fundamental and would prohibit or mitigate against that? But if that was brought up to them, they don't care. They simply don't care.
It really is sad.
How can you say in a not God world On what grounds can you say that any state of affairs is terrible? What fundamental or absolute would secure that some other state of affairs is terrible or off limits, or for that matter, superstition? In a world where God is not acknowledged as having revealed himself, then what is fundamental or ultimate could never be defended. And if you cannot defend what is fundamental or ultimate, then you cannot say what is, can be, or cannot be. You can't say any state of affairs is terrible. You can't say any line of reasoning is terrible.
Never mind saying if one state of affairs is terrible, you couldn't even say that there's states of affairs.
Of course, exactly. Right? So every time they make some of these statements, there are inherent premises that they're asserting indirectly and by implication, but they won't defend it. They don't care.
You just got destroyed in that debate for the proof of God, the existence of God, because you don't know the answer to the impossibilities out there, and you can't pause.
On what ground are there impossibilities? That's Pasta Mike. Pasta Mike is not on camera. That's the guy with
the picture.
The flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah, what the? Oh, he's not even showing his face, and he's the one controlling the
that's
conversation.
Okay. No, but don't you understand? These guys would be humiliated if they didn't resort to this disgusting type behavior. This is all a cover for their own intellectual vacuousness.
Posit a God that did it. You're a fucking moron, Oz.
Because it's red. All they're simply doing is an SHIT show. It's red meat for atheists out there, where the other atheists can sit in their home going, oh, yeah, Oz really told him,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Look, I'm not trying to be mean, but Oz is an idiot. Okay?
This is like, it's sort of a new tactic. It's like you intellectually smear feces all over yourself and then run at your opponent and try to hit him with your body.
So it's like an intellectual like Schrodinger's douchebag.
No, he was holding a coin, but I'm not David Blaine, so yeah. But shout out to Robin and Otangelo, because these guys hold the key to the impossibility. Well, actually, Otangelo said yesterday, or the day before yesterday, he's 99.99% sure a God exists. 99.9%. So he's like, he leaves a teeny tiny little bit for possibility. But that's pretty confident right there.
And Tangelo, maybe you jumped in a little late, but he certainly did make he definitely made an assertion and a claim at the beginning of his call about there being this transcendent God or whatever big mumbo jumbo word salad shit.
He never did.
No, he didn't.
He never directly made it.
Yeah.
Big words. Yeah.
I'm convinced that T-Jump exists.
And the chair.
Come on.
No, I can't say the chair exists. It could be CGI. I've not met the chair, but I've met T-Jump. T-Jump exists. T-Jump does exist.
And T-Jump can dance.
Yeah, he's a pretty
dance.
He can move. He's a bit of a mover.
See? There's no point in watching any more of this.
Bro,
These
he
guys
can
are
dance.
morons.
Bro, he
Now,
can
does
dance.
anybody doubt that my evaluation is that these are obnoxious teenagers trapped in adult bodies? Does anybody doubt that? No?
I don't doubt it, but I do doubt that T-Jump can dance. I can 100% vouch that T-Jump can sit, though. He can certainly sit.
He can dance. Yeah, they're not very good at what they do. These are low tier.
No, they don't. Look, listen. They don't know how to answer it, so they just act like idiots.
Again, it's just a Schrodinger. It's like an intellectual Schrodinger's douchebag to decide what's viable and what isn't, depending on who they're talking to.
Oh, they're live right now too.
Yeah, they're celebrating Atheist Day. There's also Armin Navabi online as well, and he just played a video from Seth Andrews introducing Atheist Day.
We should call in.
Atheist Day is because atheism.
I don't think they're calling. I don't think they're accepting calls right now.
No, it's a waste of time talking to these guys. They're worse than stupid. Okay.
One of the main philosophies I try to live by is that I ask myself, if everybody behaved the way that I did today, would the world be a better place? The answer to that question is no. I should probably reconsider a few things. But I had a much less consideration for my fellow person. You know, I was a very God is my judge individual, and I think that religion sort of spawns that in people. They become self-serving under the veil of altruism, and they don't even realize it. They're not doing things for other people; they're doing things for them.
So here
Don't
are
you
some
love
more
the psychoanalysis? Don't
yeah,
you love it?
yeah. It's the psychobabble, the psychoanalysis, and the two idiots at the top couldn't intellectually respond one iota to what Robin was saying. They acted like complete jerks, and now they're nodding their heads like they're intellectuals. I mean, I say this all the time, but I'll say it again. Where do they grow people like this?
Well, as Tonlock said, they're motive mining. They're doing some heavy mining here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I was just talking. I'm putting, or I'm working on something with Dr. Josh and putting some things together. And he had just asked me today. He was like, "Hey, any traction on this yet?" And I said, "Well, I got a couple people interested here, but today and tomorrow I'm going to go hit the cesspool. I mean, TikTok, and see if I can gather some things up, because it's amazing some of the people and the ideas and the beliefs that you can get on that app. But we'll come back to that later. We can talk about TikTok a little later. But the one thing I always like to do, and I think from the couple times I've talked to JT, and obviously Nate, you and I talk a lot.
Somebody look up JT Alistair. Look him up and see if he has a YouTube channel.
Why is he talking about
TikTok? I think all three of us are going to have a very similar definition, but I think it's good for us and the people that are watching or watch later that maybe aren't atheists and have, all they've done is grow up. Well, I'll tell you what I was told about atheists when I was young and in church and grown up. Atheists are the devil. They're possessed by demons. They hate God, and they will worship anything that represents the devil. JT, were you taught anything like that?
Yeah. Come to find out, it's all.
You see how many of these YouTube atheists have a vendetta about their religious upbringing?
Right.
Was anyone in here taught that atheists are the devil?
No,
I don't remember being taught that.
I was taught
in the last 40 years. In the last 40 years of being a Christian, I've never heard in any Bible-believing churches that I've been to that they said atheists are the devil, that they're possessed by the devil. The only thing that was ever said is that atheists are they're complete fools for denying what is obvious. That's all. I have never, ever, 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 ever heard that. Now, Oz might be telling the truth. Maybe he went to some charismatic lunatic church. But the fact still remains. The vast majority of the atheist YouTubers that I survey and listen to, almost all of them seem to have a vendetta against whatever fundamentalist or religious upbringing that they have. And I believe that this is a vicarious attempt by them to retaliate, right? Say, oh, okay, you're going to brainwash me this way. I'm gonna go do a YouTube show, and I'm going to recruit people to become atheists.
But it's the classic smoke and mirrors routine. Because again, this is all deflection from how they have necessitated the falsity of God. So they'll use the smoke and mirrors routine to try to bring up other issues that are not relevant to the main issue at hand. This is a tactic they use.
I asked Matt Dillahunty in one of my email exchanges what he pretends to achieve with his militancy in over 15 years. His answer was, well, to get rid of Christians.
To get rid of us?
Yeah.
That's delusional.
I was going to say in reference to them being called the devil, the closest I've ever heard is that their reasoning, their atheist reasoning, is satanic, or perhaps, as Jesse Lee Peterson says, they're children of the lie.
Amazing.
I was never taught that they were like of the devil, but I have been told that they do hate God, because ultimately they do hate God. They do. That's just.
Well, if you take a look at Christopher Hitchens, okay, and you listen to some of his messages, it's clear he hates the idea of God. It's not just that he adamantly believes that there's no God. He literally hates the idea of God being actual, right?
Well, you know Matt Dillahunty's favorite quote of yours about God, about Jesus.
Oh, yeah. And interestingly enough, I pointed out yesterday when we did a review of atheist drop mic moments, or so they were called, that I pointed out to the people in the room, look at how red his face is, okay? Because he's an alcoholic. He's a drunk, right? Now, that's not to say that all atheists are drunks or alcoholics or drug addicts or sexual deviants. But there are some people who their personal, I don't know if the right word peccadillo is, their idiosyncrasies in their personal life, of whatever things that they enjoy immoral. This is what, in part, what drives them toward their God hatred and trying to promote atheism. Well, guess what? They're in for a rude awakening.
That reminds me of that one video by the friend of atheist that I sent
as
you.
much as
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
Tangelo is 99.9% positive that God exists. I'm as close to that to the Christian God not existing. So
now, have you noticed that the vast majority of atheists that we see on YouTube, they said exactly what Billy Joel Jr., aka Nate, just said, right? That why is there this special focus on the Christian God, but not 99% certain that God doesn't exist? Is because they know that the best candidate there is out there for God is the Christian God, and that is the God that they really hate, because that is the God to whom that they are going to stand before and be accountable when they die.
I had to bring that name up again, didn't we? Real quick,
if a cow could jump over the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
That right there. That's about as convinced. Can a cow jump over the moon? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to say no on that one. I've never seen a cow that could jump over the moon.
Can somebody type a message in the chat and just say, why is it that when serious people call in with serious questions, they turn it into an SHIT show? Okay, why do you do that?
Hop.
Here, I'll
Right.
do it.
They're very nifty with getting through barbed wire fences. I spent a large part of my childhood chasing cows, so they're limber. But I've never seen them actually jump up in the air. Maybe bulls do that, but I've never seen a cow do that. So can a bull jump over the moon? That's out. Yeah. That's out. The verdict is out on that.
But have you ever been cow tipping before?
That is a myth. That's a good way to get hurt. That's something that we in the country tell city people to see if they'll be stupid enough to fall for it.
Hey, don't do that. JT said it's a myth. Don't do it.
Don't. That's a good way to get hurt.
All right, what do you want me to say?
Real quick, chats. Atheist cats. Thank you for the super chat for $5. It's a trap. It's a trap. And I think he's referring to the agnostic or softer heart atheist. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, and I'm my definition is very similar. I don't have a good reason to believe in any of them, and based on my study, my research, in growing up, learning about this Abraham.
What is his good reason to believe that there's something fundamental and absolute that's not God? Does he have a good reason to believe that? Well, the answer is no, he doesn't. He says, I don't know and I don't care. Did everybody see the absolute hypocrisy here? Right?
All right, check the live stream. Check the chat. I just posted.
All right, oh my God. I'm about as certain you could be without saying no, absolutely not. There's not one. I'm about as certain as you can get. Kind of what JT was saying.
So we're at the point where that God would have to come down from the heavenly perch and have a long discussion with us and answer a lot of questions before we believe that he existed, and then we still wouldn't follow. So.
Wait, what questions would you ask? That's stupid.
To me, it's
he just made right there.
That's
a stupid statement.
If Pastor Mike's listening right now, he's gonna literally fall out of his chair laughing right now because it's always my go-to. If God really was love, like the Bible says he is, he would know what I need in order.
This is an atheist cliche.
To know that he exists and to acknowledge that he is real and he's God. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to worship him because that book is still really fucked up, whether he exists or not. But come on, homie, if you really love me.
Yeah, that's an atheist cliche. If the God of the Bible really exists, he would know what it would take to get me to believe. And because I don't believe, therefore that God, this is worse than adolescent reasoning. I mean, it is so shockingly bad. I'm amazed that these people even think that that's intelligent.
And you're really my homie. I'll let your boy. Like where you been my whole life, Yeah, so that's where I fall on that. I think it's I think the Christian faith, especially as we see it through the evangelical charismatic lenses, is complete bullshit. It's complete bullshit.
Notice how he
if anything, it's a money
Christian
machine.
God with all God belief, though. Notice how he does that subtly.
Yeah, well, of course they do. They flip and they flop. Here's the problem: in order to say anything is BS, you have to presuppose that there is an absolute, and from that absolute, all possibility and impossibility derive. Because if you don't hold to that, then you can't say anything is off limits. You can't say anything is BS. So he's already admitted he doesn't know what's fundamental or absolute. So if he doesn't know what's fundamental or absolute, he can't rule anything out. This is what a dumbass he is.
They know.
Yo, I'm putting what you told me to put in the chat, and they're trolling me. They're being dickheads. They're like,
"Oh, he's
probably
on the
under
bottom now.
Darth. It's probably under live chat, not top
He used to
chat.
be at the top. He's on the bottom now."
You got to go up to the. I don't know how to do it, honestly.
You see where Darth? You see where it says top chat? You can switch it to
But yeah,
you can
I think
switch it
we're
to
all
live chat, and it'll probably
together
pop up
with the same thought
Oh,
process.
okay, hold on.
I'm sure he'll get
What's the
there.
difference?
Be right back.
Yeah,
what's the difference with top chat?
Yeah, there I am. See, I said, how come when people
Or
call you don't take
God's
anything
real
they
and
say
he's trying to
seriously?
get JT out of the stream to prove it.
That's very true. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Sorry, God.
Hi.
What up, Mikey?
My brother is in the other room, and he is playing video games, and it is fucking with my internet.
Well, he needs to get off.
You better tell your brother. No, I'm kidding.
Does he
I
know
don't
who
tell
we
him
are?
No.
Well, okay.
No, he doesn't.
What up, Mikey?
Cool. So to continue down our discussion of atheism.
They said, "Am I Robin?"
And
You see, now they're interesting. Now they're trying to pretend like they're being intellectual, but let somebody call in who disagrees with them, then it turns into a crap show. They act like little snot-nosed, 14-year-olds. Okay? You know what? I don't even want to watch these guys anymore. They're just human excrement.
They get triggered so easily.
I think the hardest part about all this is that they're so adamant that they hate God so much is that, when they die and they have to give an account to God for all that they've done, it's just, God weeps over this type of stuff because at some point, I believe that the spirit calls these people, and the voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter until there's nothing left there, and God's just like, well,
Yeah.
that's it.
They repeat the same cliches. If there was a God, if the God of the Bible existed, he would know what it would take to get me to believe. And yet I don't believe. Okay? Well, this is a fallacious premise, because here's why. It's because maybe God constructed a world in such a way where the entire world collectively indicates and necessitates concluding that there's a God on rational grounds, but that it's not so overwhelming that it will override your capacity in your sinfulness to self-deceive yourself. So therefore, when he says, well, if there was a God, he would know what it would take. Okay, no, you're assuming that if there was a God, or if the God of the Bible exists, that he's going to eliminate the opportunity of you to deceive yourself, or to try to rationalize that none of this is evidence from God. So God is not going to overwhelm you to the point, because he's a God of love, okay, where you can't facilitate your own psychological rebellion and self-deception. So again, this is another example of atheists spewing out cliches and platitudes that are non-substantive. It's just intellectual garbage, what he just said. It wouldn't be so bad if they weren't so arrogant, okay? By the way, was my mic working when I was just talking?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get them pissed off in this chat.
No, well, I'm not encouraging you to troll them, but they'll just end up, banning or muting you.
They are live now,
Darth,
and I said that if you want to call in, you can call in. They are live right now.
I can't stomach. I like calling into shows, but I've dealt with Oz before, and he's a complete intellectual fraud. He's a completely deceitful person, right? And everybody knows my track record in here, how I react when atheists are deceitful with me. That's it. I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Dude, he's talking about you. He's talking about you right now.
I'll put it on.
Oh. MKO, can you unmute really quick?
Yeah.
Did you already have a discussion?
Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker, yeah. No. As far as Mr. Batman's concerned, I actually kind of like him, but that's just because he's like genuinely delusional. He's not being dishonest or malicious or anything. He's just crazy. Yeah, but he's sweet, and he and I have actually teamed up on Darth Dawkins before, so I can't be too harsh on the guy. We did troll the fuck out of him more than once together. And
we just left.
My
There's
prayer
Darth-
works.
there's Darth- hold on.
Did you guys see that?
I was saying
God
we should
answered my
call it
prayer.
Our Monday night show. Everyone chill out.
That's crazy.
Everyone relax.
This is gonna keep happening. But yeah, no, he Darth got really mad at me in Batman. It was like when Batman teamed up with the Riddler, when Batman teamed up with Harley Quinn. One of those instances.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, I love listening. I love listening to Darth and Batman go back and forth. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, dude, they hate each other with a passion. Oh, it's. I mean, there's been.
See,
some
that's a lie. I
spicy,
don't hate Mr.
spicy
Batman.
Conversations. That I have been
He's
privy to.
lying.
Tangelo just
Hey,
said he's watching you guys
at least
on Discord right now. Great.
when he
Great.
Darth, can you pause it?
Ask him about last week when.
Hold on a second. Somebody type in
he
there.
and two of his
I'm
cronies
talking with
came
Darth
into
Darth Dawkins right
a
now. He said
feed,
Darth
and
says he doesn't hate Mr.
all three of
Batman.
them rage quit.
What do you want me to write?
Good times, man.
Just say, JT, you're lying because Darth.
Yeah,
I'm
it's,
talking to Darth right now,
yeah,
and he says he doesn't
That
hate
whole
Mr.
argument
Batman.
is you don't just get to take God and say here's this God and he's real because I say he's real. That's not how that shit works.
You know,
That
listening
is a
to
horrible,
I can
horrible
I can barely listen to Oz. He's such a moron. He's so stupid, and he's so self-unaware of how stupid he is.
You know, special revelation.
You don't get the candy. You don't get the candy yet. You gotta earn the candy.
Yeah.
But no, so the precept argument, and then what are because see, I would say the precept argument is one of the best as far as entertaining, but it's the worst or one of the worst as far as actual argument.
Entertaining.
This clown couldn't even articulate the transcendental argument for God.
Well, that's what I was saying. If you're newer and you don't understand some of the terminology they're throwing out, then you get yourself trapped. But if you understand where they're going, it's a whole different
My
story.
gator's going off.
Oh yeah, and so yes, if that's true,
for which
Darth
one?
and all your little peoples, all your beautiful
The
people.
one top right.
Hello, good evening.
Oh, me, Billy
Happy
Joel
Atheist
Jr.?
Day.
Yeah.
And Randolph Richardson said hello too.
Yeah.
He said holla at you boy. No, he didn't say that. I said that.
No, these are supremely arrogant and cocky, intellectually inept adults who have the mind of teenagers. And okay, I'm not trying to be funny there. This is their actual condition. All three of them, they're morons.
But all right, so let's get back on track with the Atheist Day. So we did a definition of atheism, or our definitions of atheism. Some of the arguments for a God. Now, one of the things I was talking to a family member about earlier today was, and now there's more and more science coming out about the trauma that religion and indoctrination can have and can leave
the trauma
on people, as especially the
trauma.
longer they've been involved in religion, that impact is there in it.
I can't take any more of this. Oz is, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. He's just an idiot, and he doesn't know it.
I'm trolling him hard, Darth.
Well, I'm not encouraging you to do that, but they'll just kick you. That's all. And by the way, you have to make sure you better check on an alternate browser, not using the same account, to see if your texts are posting. Because if they ban you, you're not going to know, because on your regular account, if you post, it'll keep on showing on your screen that it's posting when it's not posting. So you have to look on an alternate browser.
I'm used to that. What I do, I open two browsers, and I have two accounts, and then I can check with the other account if in the first I am appearing or not.
Yeah.
I have about 10 different Gmail. I have about 10 different Gmail accounts.
Look, all the atheists are the same. They all reason. They have an adolescent mindset. Even those atheists that have academic degrees. Because they all say the same thing. I don't have a reason to believe in God. Well, how does it follow from that there's no God? Oh, that's not my position. My position is I reject the God claim. Yeah, well, you don't have that luxury. Okay, you can't be neutral toward God. If you don't positively believe in God, then what you do believe is that facts are independent of God, meaning God cannot logically coexist. So you know what? This is why all the atheists have waved the white flag. You won't hear them assert there is no God. Why do you think it is they are so quick to assert that the Christian God doesn't exist, but they won't assert that God in general doesn't exist because they know they can't do it? So rather than admit that they believe there's no God, but they don't have a justification for it, they hide behind, atheism is a rejection of a God claim. Okay? That's vacuous. It's non-substantive. So what do you mean that you reject the God claim? Everyone who denies God rejects the God claim. So are you trying to tell us that you're just neutral? You're just non-committal about the existence or non-existence of God? Would anybody take it seriously that these atheist YouTubers are non-committal about the existence of God?
Just
Look, they are
relax, Darth. Jesus Christ.
They're pathological. What's the problem?
I don't know. Just relax, man.
Yeah, I'm speaking with passion. What is the problem with me speaking with passion?
No, I appreciate that, but you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, you're doing what you do. I guess you have all the right.
Why
to
are
do
you
it,
upset that I'm speaking? Why are you upset that I'm speaking with passion?
No, I guess I'm not. These people just don't change, though.
Now you're lying because you were telling me to calm down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you just stuck your foot in your mouth.
I don't know. I'm worried that you just like.
I don't know. I'm perfectly fine. Ask anyone who knows me. I regularly talk this way.
I think he's mad about your criticism, and so he has to tell you to calm down as a sort of side attack.
No, my criticism is spot on. No, these people are disgusting. They are pathological liars. Now people go, "Oh, Darth hates atheists." No, I don't hate atheists, because if I did, I would sit back and not try to warn them of the wrath that has come. What I hate is their lying tongues while they maintain and they smile at us that they're truth seekers and they're seeking for a reason. And they really, 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 really want to believe in God. I hate their lying tongues. They are liars. Every single one of them. Even the professional atheists who you've heard me interact with, okay? They lie too. P.Z. Myers was lying. Lawrence Krauss was lying. Okay? Masmizo Pelluccio was lying.
They claim neutrality and then attack the Bible.
If they're simply undecided about God, if they're simply indifferent and they do not care, nor do they know what it is that is fundamental to reality, then there would be no reason whatsoever to object to any book or any conduct whatsoever. So they are pathological liars. Everything they say contradicts other things that they say. And by the way, that's not just an empty accusation. I can back that up with citation after citation after citation. They lie, they lie, they lie, and then they put on the air of arrogance behind it. This is why it is so difficult interacting with a wide section of them, because they're so arrogant. They're so deceitful and deceptive.
Like China or something like that, like a while ago. But I don't think we've done that in a while. And then there was the whole trade war thing kind of going on.
I have a question about all these people vaping on camera. Now, what is in these vape pens? Is it just a cigarette substitute? Is it marijuana? What?
It can be a cigarette flavored. It could be marijuana. It could be anything really.
It's most likely just nicotine.
Economics is not my strong point. A strong suit, you know.
Yeah, and on that particular question, I mean, I know. I try not to talk out of my ass too much. So if I don't know something, I'm just gonna kind of say that I don't know, or that's something that I should try and learn more about. But
cool, me too.
As far as all.
Let's see. I guess it's supposed to be Happy Atheist Day. I thought Atheist Day was the first Thursday or Tuesday in April or May.
It's the worst holiday ever.
Well, actually, Atheist Day is April 1st. Okay, so right here it says Atheist Day is March 23rd. But when I looked at another source, it said that it was another day. Okay. Let me just see. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm confusing it with the National Day of Reason. Yeah, reason my ass. Isn't it funny that they claim to champion reason when they are the exact opposite of exercising reason?
Well, I have to call it the modern day cult of reason. I mean, that's what it is.
But they're not exercising reason.
Is cultish.
No, they're
right. Well, neither were the people in the cult of reason.
Yeah, I know. They're operating from cliches, slogans, platitudes, catchphrases. They're the atheist mindset is not exemplified by reason. It's by cliches.
I mean, that's very common, not just in an atheist world, but a very liberal worldview. They always champion things when they're the exact opposite of what they champion.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
It's not even. It's it's just like how liberals are always like, we have to defend people of color, but in private circles, they're the most outspoken racists that you could even.
Yeah, of course.
It's all a dog and pony show. It's all looking good. It's outwardly looking good, but inwardly they're just ugly as everybody else.
Yep.
And they will be slaves for life. But don't treat the Israelites that way, because that's bad. You're not supposed to do that.
We all know what they say about the word "but," right? As soon as you say "but," kind of erases most of
everything before that does not matter.
Get your broom out.
I'm for free speech, but I'm for guns, but I'm not racist, but
man.
So
every single time, man.
As soon as your partner or significant other says, "You know what, babe, I love you, but it's done. It's done. It's
Tap
over."
out.
Out of that conversation before they say anything else. I love you too.
It amazes me how did these male atheists, find female companions? How do they do that?
They don't. Most of it's for show. I think Tippy Bear was on to something, but anyway.
Well, if their atheism is, if they're so dead set in their atheism, there's no purpose to anything. Why even bother finding a mate? Why even bother? Why would you drag another human being into that type of misery? I don't get it.
No, I'll be honest with you. I just find most of their character just disgusting. I find them repulsive. It's not that I hate them, but it's the character qualities that they show. They're just awful. They're just shameless about being dishonest and deceptive. They're just absolutely shameless. They just don't care.
Psalm says, "The fool says in heart there," that's just they exchange the truth for a lie. That's the real definition of insanity. You know how everybody says, "Oh, the definition of the same thing over again with a different result." No,
Every time
the
the
real
guy talks, like I can see him. Are you like I see him in like a navy blue T-shirt, maybe like a fucking colored shirt, and like I think he's kind of chubby, Asian, balding, dark hair. I have no idea, man.
You hit on the head, dude.
So close. It's like he described me to a T.
Yeah, he's not bald, but he's Asian, yeah.
I'm tripping out. Can everybody see him when he talks? Or is it
can
just me?
Yeah, totally can
It's
see
really
him.
hard, Jim.
This
He's
is
having
really
division.
good weed. This is awesome.
It's like
weed.
4K. It's like 4K scene, Lehman.
It's hard to see through the ether. Sometimes the vision can get distorted.
Mind limit.
All right, what do I look like when I talk?
You pictured earlier
You
today.
look like Boogie Boy.